Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us today. Glad to be home and ready to get back to work, knock some shit out before the Fast Life Campout coming up. But want to give a quick shout out to Lucky Days, which this podcast is with Lucky Days, but they were a big help in making this trip possible and getting me on the road and keeping me on the road. So I want to give a special shout out to them. You guys know I've been running their seats forever, ran their bars on many of my bikes. They make some really badass products. So check them out, luckydays.com. Also, you guys got to check out Simpson motorcycle helmets. I just ran another 4,000 plus mile trip in a Ghost Bandit. They're the shit. I love them. I have no reason to ever go to another helmet. They're my favorite, the Ghost Bandits in particular. They have a lot of great models and great options for you guys to check them out. Or you guys can check them out at simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com, as well as on Instagram at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. I would also like to welcome S&S Performance to our podcast. I'm excited to run their products, and I just ran their air cleaner cross country and through a monsoon yesterday and didn't have any bogging out or anything. I guess that's thanks to the rain sock that they provide with it. But I'm looking forward to how these products will change my experience on the road. S&S has everything you need to crank out power. Fuck, I just messed it up. S&S has everything you need to crank out power from your motorcycle's engine, from exhaust systems to air cleaners and everything in between. Check them out at snscycle.com and on the gram at sscycle on the gram. Also, I think they have a podcast out. Yeah, you guys got to check it out. I'll try to find the links to that and put them in the show notes. That way you guys can check out their podcast as well. Lexin Moto has a intercom system for you, the all-new G16. It is a group rider's long-awaited answer to an affordable intercom system. With a 16-rider comm system, Bluetooth 5.0, music sharing, it'll keep your group connected while traveling together. This is another great product from the team at Lexin, geared at making motorcycle rides and travel more enjoyable. Check it out at lexin-moto.com, where you can apply the Fast Life offer code, which will save you 15%. And as always, you can rest assured that Lexin backs up their products with the best customer service in the industry. Thundermax has your EFI-equipped Harley-Davidson covered with their high-quality auto-tuning ECMs. I've been running their computers on my Road Glide for over 40,000 miles, and it continues to give me the optimal performance out of my engine. Sorry, I had a burp. Paired with their oil cooler fan, which is available for the M8 Touring models, which, by the way, works great. I've been running on my 131, and it really keeps the engine temperature down. It keeps my bike running strong and at a desirable temperature. You can check out these products at shoptmax.com and use the offer code FASTLIFE for 10% off, and follow Thundermax EFI on Instagram. Electric Lighting Co. has your bike covered from headlight to taillight with a ton of LED lighting options from many different Harley-Davidson models. All lighting is backed by great warranties and plug-and-play options, so you can't go wrong with making the switch or stepping up to Electric Lighting Co. And their sister company, NAM's Custom Cycle Products, since 1999 has been offering American-made wiring products for all things V-twin and Badlands for over 30 years, has been offering the most reliable, dependable lighting modules in the USA, backed by a lifetime warranty. Find out more about these great companies at namscustomcycleproducts.com, and you can always drop the FL2021 offer code, which gives you free shipping on orders over $100. Man, this trip was wild. I did not get as many podcasts as I'd hoped. The weather in California kind of, locked me into certain areas. But for the first half of the trip, meaning from, Texas to LA, I pretty much was on schedule getting everything done. NorCal got a little sketchy with the weather up there. And then by the time I got back to Phoenix, I was just ready to be home. So anyway, this podcast is with Lucky Dave's. As you guys know, I've been running their seats forever. I'm a huge fan of their brand, their company, what they do for riders out there, both stunt riding community and guys like myself on the road. Dave is a good friend of mine. Grady, another good friend of mine. Relationships that I've been building over the last couple of years, running their products and working with them. So I think I did a good job on this one. I got them a little buzzed, and we had a little fun. So here it is, Lucky Dave's.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
All right, guys, here we are, round 2, a year later.
Has it been a year?
Yeah, I was here January of last year.
Wow. Well, we're March, right?
So
Yeah.
over a
It's
year.
actually
A little over a year.
Time flies. when
Seems like
you're
it was yesterday.
stuck inside wearing masks and can't see anybody.
You know, we were riding up to the pier, whatever that shit was called down there, the beach.
Yeah.
That we first turned onto that little side street that's right along the beach. There was that sign that said like wear mask 6 feet apart. I wanted a picture with the bike right there more than anything, but I forgot about it because when we pulled in there, I was like, all right, I'm going to tell them let's come back through here. Completely forgot about it until just now. Whenever you said mask,
They'd be there.
Yeah.
That's kind of
You'll see
funny.
plenty of those on your trip through California.
dude. So far, I mean, of course, I just skipped all the shit from last year basically, but it feels pretty normal. I mean, obviously it's not, but it feels normal. Like what we've been watching on the news, basically. We thought, you know, there was like people, like police down there at the beach holding guns, telling you to put your mask on or go home, and it seems pretty normal.
Yeah, it's not like that. I mean, there's been the odd few people that got arrested for getting married in a park, or that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's few and far
Is that
between.
more LA though than San Diego?
When it first started, I think all the beaches when it first started here were closed down. At least all the state beaches and city beaches were closed.
Yeah.
But that quickly, I want to say it was that when did it start? March of last year. By
Yeah.
June, I want to say it opened all back. Kind of the beaches kind of opened back
Yeah.
up. They opened up or people just kind of went to them.
Yeah.
And then I think it went through a phase of closed again, then reopened. But it's restaurants and everything else has been pretty closed out, and they have like a peaceful protest. The restaurants open up, but I don't know if it's been as bad as the news may have led it on. Because the
Yeah.
people themselves have been pretty nice about, obviously the mask thing has always been 100%, but
I think
Yeah.
what's been undercovered is the effect that it's had on the local businesses.
Yeah, and that's what they talk about a lot too. But it's what's weird is that like almost nationwide motorcycle businesses have done nothing but prosper through this time.
Yep.
And would you say it's been kind of the same thing with you guys, like pushing the products out?
On the one hand, yes. On the other hand, no. I'm never going to be fake. This has been a tough time for us because anytime you're relying on any kind of volume and you can no longer get that volume,
Oh yeah, I
doesn't matter about the sales.
I didn't think about the manufacturing side of it and getting things built here and done here when
Yep. Yep.
finding material and shit like that.
And I'm just going to be real. I'm not weighing in on one way or the other. I'm just going to tell it like it is. When you have people that are getting a raise to stay home and they get sick, and whether it is or isn't, they have a headache, a cough, anything that falls into something that could be, I think there's been a lot of companies that got shut down time and time again because people took advantage of the system. And, I'm not trying to weigh in on one way or the other, but it just, when you incentivize people to stay home, it's not a good thing,
Yeah.
yes, this parts thing. I think from people staying home, they had jobs still they could work from home because we were in 21st century. They could do that. Had money to spend. They wanted to do on their bikes.
Yep.
And from us, I think a lot of other people would have prospered a whole lot this year from people doing that. It's just you have to be able to make parts.
Yeah.
And the people to come in to make parts is what was the issue. Coming in, having shop open to actually facilitate having the merchandise made so people could buy it was the problem. It wasn't the problem with the sales. It wasn't the problem with the customer base. The customer base has always been awesome and followed from the beginning. It was being able to provide the product to the customer.
We can't thank our customers enough for their just their patience, their loyalty throughout this whole thing. It's been a little tough to navigate. But the flip side of it, when I said yes and no, there is the yes in that it's been really cool just to be that much more in touch with our client base, because when things don't go right, you got to communicate more. It's been cool that when we get things in stock, they sell pretty well, and we feel like we've still got that strong name when maybe we're out of stock on something for a month, and that's not who we want to be as somebody who considers ourselves an in-stock company. So when those things happen, it's uncharted waters, but it forces you to grow. It causes you to focus on any way that you can. This is my company. There's nobody else backing me. I'm responsible for the paychecks here, and I'm responsible for my family. To me, it became about SKUs, and we've pushed out more products this past year, which we're really proud of than we have. And by that, there's a lot that's still in the final stages of R&D. So when I say a lot, there's more that people haven't even seen. There's still our Triple Tree, which is coming soon. We've really narrowed in on our heavy hitter platform and what that's bringing out. There's a lot of things I'd like to I guess, do more, but for what we've accomplished this year, considering what happened, I'm really thankful and I'm really proud of my team.
Yeah, the hardest part is like wanting to know that you didn't basically sit out a season, right?
Yeah.
And not get at least some skin in the game to kind of move forward. But like I said, you guys had the Peacemakers last time I was here, and you're working on the straight Peacemakers still, and those are done, ready, right?
Right.
And with the heavy hitters and the options and all the different things with the bars, it's like it's just kind of all kind of been polished more, and it's ready to roll now for everybody.
Yeah,
so
we've been working hard to maintain that kind of in-stock status. We don't like to sell anything unless we can actually put our hands on it, get it to our customers in a reasonable time, but all those things that you mentioned, they come along with as you're building up inventory and trying to figure out what people actually want. We carry a lot of different colors in our risers, which is a challenge. We try to give our customers a next level customization in our Peacemakers, and that comes along with a lot of work. We have to keep in stock reds and golds and chrome and black and singles and doubles, and we committed to that a long time ago. And when you put your heart and soul into developing something, and then you're looking at all these different pieces, and you're looking at how much money is actually going into bringing out that first product. It's been really reassuring, just the support we've gotten, not only from the industry, but also our rider base. Super stoked on our riders that are running our products, and just how stoked they are. It's really good vibes right now.
Yeah, it's all good. Like I said, it's been a crazy year, but like I said, I feel like from my side of looking at the brand, Lucky Days, I feel like the seat came out, the Get Lucky seat that was just prototyping whenever I was here last time, and I've been running that all last year since I can't remember when we got that seat, but it was probably
March. No,
I think it might have been before our camp out is when I got the seat.
Right around. I know you had your bike when I sent it to you. Really, I think it was right before you camp out actually. That I got that out to you fast.
I mean, we did quite a bit of stuff. Obviously, my wife doesn't ride with me a lot, but she rode me all through Sturgis and things like that, and it's hard. It's hard to know if she really likes it or not, because women complain about everything when you ride. So it's like, but at the same time, like it does provide a lot more cushion. I think she doesn't. It's one of those things that she'd probably have to ride on one and then jump on that one and be like, oh yeah, this is way different.
Right.
But
if you put her on any of the more performance style, or like our OG bagger seat, they're just not really made unless you got a tiny old lady on the back. They're not made for that. And we've heard complaints, because it's not friendly for the women to be on something that narrow. But that's the idea of the Get Lucky. It gives them a much wider platform. Here's the reality, though, what you're saying. If you're not used to being stuck in a position for long periods of time, no matter what, you're going to get cranky. You're going to be like, my ass hurts, let's pull over,
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like I said, it's one of those things, like me personally as a rider, I mean, like I said, I've been running y'all seats way before we ever met, and it's always just been the seat that it fits my ass. You know what I'm saying? It fits me well. And it's like a second nature item. It's like, when you've built a couple bikes, I know that you've done it great. It's like you find a couple products that they're like, okay, this for sure. I already know what kind of seat. I already know what bars I'm running. I always run these foot pegs. It's like you find these comforts, especially when you travel on bikes a lot. They're like, this is my go-to. I get to set the FXR up the same way, and the bagger the same way, the Dyna the same way, so that you can travel on that bike if you have to. Yeah. So I don't know. It's been one of those things, man. Like I said, and I'm so stoked that you guys finally got the Lowrider S seat out. I don't know if I was telling you or Grady earlier, but I legitimately was on the fence of buying a Lowrider S or going the 131 route, because I wanted another bike or a new motor back right before Sturgis. And all my buddies, I have a lot of buddies that ride Softails, and they all have the step up. And not to say anything bad about it, but it doesn't. I don't like the way it feels when I ride on their bikes.
Sure.
Because of just the shape, and then finally the seat comes out after I already made the decision to buy the motor. Because I couldn't find a seat that really fit the look and style and vibe that I wanted. You know what I mean? I'm not a stunt rider. You know what I mean? So I don't need to be able to step on my seat. I just need it to fit my ass, the thing that it's made for. You know what I mean?
It's kind of unique. It's cool when you're in that type of thing like us. We buy bikes and we know we already have a vision prior to buying the bikes. We don't buy a bike without sleeping at night with that vision. We have this dream of having it, and certain parts have always been like how you do your bike.
Yeah.
And you see yours out there, everything, everyone's seen it on Instagram and everything else, but it's like you have this vision of how it's going to be and the parts that you want to go on it. It's cool to be able to do that. I think that's a big thing. Go back to our last comments about this year, is being able to provide that. A lot of customer base is really loyal this year to stay around for as long as we were trying to get bars, seats out to them due to whatever it means. The calls that we got based off just like the same thing you said. Hey, I want your stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. Pretty loud statement to make and being said through the community.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's
we appreciate that very much, and thank you for your kind words on the seat. I know you can run whatever you want, and we appreciate the kind words. Everybody has a personal preference, but we really try to build stuff that doesn't just sell because of a picture or because of a sale, or it's because their buddy told them about it and he won't run anything else, and now they've tried it and they won't run anything else. And that's the kind of word of mouth that we want.
I mean, it's a good vibe, like I said, and before I got into this type of these type of bikes, man, we used to make seat pans and then send them out to guys to do their own designs and shit on it. Like we did the big wheel stuff or things like that. You'd make a fiberglass seat pan and shape it all out, give you a little point in the back so you can have your tribal on it and shit. And then you send it out and have a seat made, and it was just a different experience because you were literally just letting someone else design a seat for your custom built bike. And to me, once I changed over to this style of stuff, it was like, it's almost like having, you're not in a bad way saying less options, because you have a lot of options with like doing your guys' seats and stuff, but less options like the shape. And it's easier to design and customize a bike when you know the shape of things.
Yeah, it's like going into In-N-Out versus like Angelo's.
Yeah.
It's just hard seeing you as a big wheel biker.
Do what?
It's hard seeing you as a big wheel biker, dude.
Dude, well, I did it.
Not that I don't dislike it.
Lots of straight roads out there in Texas.
It's just like you're like, the moment I met you and started following around you, you're a traveler.
Yeah. Well, I'll travel on my big wheel.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's that's kind of what, like, because for me, that would be not the ideal.
Dude, well,
he also rode through 2 feet of snow today to get here.
I know. It's just, I've done crazy stuff as well, but I've always tried to be more of the traveler, or to hear the big wheel biker scene again.
Well, at the time though, the big wheel thing was, if you wanted to make money, in the rest of the country, I know that there's always been this like bubble once you cross that California border here, that this style of bike has always been kind of prevalent, the FXR, the Dyna, and stuff like that, right? Big wheels never really took off in the SoCal area. They got a little bit big in NorCal, but a lot of dudes that I used to do the big wheel stuff for up in NorCal would also have a Dyna or an FXR. So you go in their garage and they'd have like a mint OG ass T-Sport sitting there that's just perfect. But then he's got a Nest out big wheel, and then of course a boat, because everybody up there has a boat, so because it's the Delta and shit like that. But you know what I mean? So it's like I rode it all over the place, and you can ride any bike. Even the ones that aren't rideable, you can still ride them across country.
How big was your wheel?
26. I never did the 30 thing.
That's still pretty big, but that's not as, I've seen some ridiculously big ones at different shows, or like super clear wheels. You can see right through. It looks like things hovering. It's crazy stuff. But yeah, I guess a 26 still manageable. I just could never. I can't imagine building a bike and putting it on there and doing everything that it takes to do that.
The thing that made it harder to ride, now don't get me wrong, the big wheel makes it harder to do the kind of riding we do now. But more than the wheel was the stretch bags, because you almost had to learn how to take corners as hard as possible without leaning the bike over. You know what I mean? So it was that was a bitch, especially like the first time I ever rode PCH big wheel, and that was a fucking nightmare. Because all that shit is like hairpins back and forth in and out of the canyon, or in and out of on the coastline, and it's kind of a bitch.
So when you say PCH. I know what you're saying now. When you're saying PCH to us, we're thinking like this straight road down here that goes along the ocean, and every biker flocks there on the weekends and then goes 5 miles an hour and overheats their bike down to La Jolla and back.
See, my idea of PCH is San Luis Obispo to Monterey. Like that's the only.
It's a beautiful ride there, though.
Yeah, I mean that's the part. I mean, obviously there's lots of different parts of it that has like different elements, but to me, that's the part you have to commit to. Like once you start in San Luis Obispo, you're in it till Monterey. you know, or
that's some of the most beautiful riding that California has to offer.
And then on north of the San Francisco, there's another stretch that I usually ride quite a bit from like just north of the bridge to where's that town that the Birds movie was filmed in? It was like
not Eugene.
Bodega Bay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what Bodega Bay is.
Bodega Bay.
It's just it's like
the redwoods, like the redwoods down through there. It's really beautiful. I'm not sure.
Bodega Bay is just like west of Petaluma, so just north of San Francisco on the 101, and then straight over to the coast. I love it right there. So we'd ride up north to Petaluma, then cut into the onto the coastline, and then ride straight south, and then it takes you right to the bridge, pretty much.
As long as you didn't ride your big wheel biker there, big wheel bagger. There.
I did that.
I only rode one in my life.
I did that,
and I actually regret it. I had a friend of mine from the East Coast when they first came out, rode one, and they had like these glue-on or snap-on parts at the bottom of your bag. You know, you get the long stretch things. And we were riding through. It was in North Carolina, Asheville, we were going to do the Blue Ridge. And I had a Rogue at the time, and mine had obviously done up the same way I always do.
Yeah.
And we were riding, and we changed bikes so we could enjoy each other's ride. And he got off my bike, and the first he got off my bike, he's like, "Man, I cannot ride your bike. I don't like it." And I put the kickstand on his, and I was like, "I'll agree the same." Not knowingly.
So he had the big wheel, and you had what were you riding?
I had a Rogue Glide. It was a 2000. I don't know what it was at the time. T-bars at the time, seats, and all the whole 9 yards. Just normal Rogue Glide.
Yeah.
And he was like, "All right, this is crazy. Can't ride it." He goes, "This was an amazing ride." Not knowingly earlier that I went around a corner and scraped his bags. Not only have I scraped his bag in his custom paint job, the bottom molding got ripped off on a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not a good, pleasant conversation to have with the guy after that.
Yeah.
That's I scraped my shit too when I rode it, but it's part of it, man. Like if you want, I don't know, like to have a custom bike and not like go ride it and enjoy it, it gets kind of you never fall in love with it. You fall in love with the attention it gives you, but you don't fall in love with the experiences it gives you. Yeah. So,
it's like when you're helmet and scraping it on your garage as you walk the door, right?
Yeah, pretty much. You
didn't get John Wayne though. John Wayne's good, right?
Yeah. He got a little bit, but he fucked up. He didn't fuck up the helmet. He just scratched the visor. So the helmet has like scrapes on it, but it's just in a clear coat, so it'll buff out. Right. It'll buff out. Yeah.
Everyone's like cringing now.
But dude, it's gonna happen. The helmets that we do are designed for you to go enjoy your year on it.
The only reason I did not care about it was the conversation we had in your podcast in here last year. Once you I bought it, you said that we went to Breach Break after, and you're like, you buy the helmet, you paint it, you meant to ride all year with it and hang it on the wall, and that stuck with me. And I was like, I'm buying one. I'm getting it painted. I'm gonna ride the crap out of it. I'm gonna hang it on the wall, and I'm gonna do one next year.
I gotta give you credit, man, because you had a lot of patience. I didn't realize that when we started the process to do it, it was like April, and I just got you the helmet like a month ago. Well, what happened though? To my, this is my excuse, right?
I don't want to hear this shit. But go ahead.
You had
I had to listen to him, bitch, and I have to listen to you make excuses.
Yeah. So you had you wanted the helmet to ride with it till it was time. So it was out of sight, out of mind for me for months. You know what I mean? Yeah. Usually the helmets are sitting on the wall, and I have them all labeled, and I have a list. But then it's like, okay, well, damn, I just knocked out 2 helmets this week, so what's next? Oh, Grady's riding with his helmet right now. So it's like, I will go to the next one. And then, like, you keep forgetting about it because it's out of sight, out of mind. So I actually don't really do that anymore, like, let people keep their helmet because of that same reason. It's sense. Easy to...
Well, you told me to do it.
So well, you know, I was trying to give you that extra... Sure, man, go do it. But now it's like, I know why I shouldn't do it.
Like
he didn't bitch at all.
Yeah.
He actually said one time, he's like, man, I feel kind of bad because I didn't mean to give Jace a hard time. I think he might think I was like upset about it or something. He's like, I don't care. I'm just super excited to see it or something. That was the only time he said anything.
It's one of those things because we about April is when we start hitting all the shows and the events and the traveling, and it's like, you have to plan like the 2 weeks that you're home to do shit. And like I said, we've been getting a lot of people wanting us to do bikes and stuff. I'm like, look, man, I can't take bikes in after April, like, because your helmet's one thing to sit on the shelf for a couple months, but if your bike's sitting there and I'm out riding mine on Instagram, you're not gonna like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Riding my bike on Instagram. Riding my bike and you see it on Instagram. Yeah. But no, it's a weird one, man. But
what we were talking about earlier about how you kind of have to balance and schedule out, and you were just alluding to a little bit of it, but what you do with you can only get a certain amount of bikes painted a year. You can only get so many helmets painted a year. You're killing it with the podcast. You're traveling as much as you can. You know, you're a family man. There's a lot that goes into what you do that I don't think a lot of people realize as far as having to plan and balance all that stuff out. And but you were kind of telling just a little bit of it, but I think a lot of people could gain a lot more respect for what you do, you know?
Well, the thing about it that makes it difficult is that, like, there's no manual that tells you how to do this stuff in like life, like balance everything and be good at all those different types of aspects of being an adult, being responsible, being a business owner, trying to create new things or create new, skills, things like all that shit. It's tough. And I've learned that to do the things I want to achieve, I have to get rid of things that drag me down. And sometimes those are the type of projects that either aren't going to do much for our brand. Like, hey man, I got a fender, I need it painted black. Good, easy money, but it's still time that could be on a helmet, which pays more. And it's a bigger, like, if I paint your fender black and I post it on Instagram, people are going to think it's a joke, right? It's not going to do anything for our business, right? If I paint a helmet, put it on there, then 40 people ask me how much, how do I get in line, how do I get one of these going, more happens, you know what I'm saying? So you have to pick and choose the type of work that you want to do and not overdo yourself. I mean, there's good money in painting fenders black, don't get me wrong, but that's not my business. My business is doing custom artwork on helmets and motorcycles. So
as somebody who's not threatened by this question, what would you tell aspiring painters to make them successful in the custom paint world? What are the three top things, if you could even pick
10 years of doing crackhead shit to get your name out there and to get like the skills and to learn, because there's some people that have personality. There's some painters that are just hungry, and usually when you first start, you're real hungry. You'll do a lot of things, and that helps you shape out where you want to take your work and where you want to take your skills by taking in all that shit and being like, okay, I don't ever want to do that again, or this was fun, I feel like I could be good at that. So you take on these different types of projects and you learn yourself, not just learn the actual aspect, but you learn what you're better at and what you can achieve and do a better job at, and then you can stick to that and kind of hone in, kind of start to narrow in what you're going to offer as a painter. But I think that the day of like the everything shop, like we do everything, we paint, we do this, it's like they say, like, what's the saying, jack of all trades, master of none. That's true. Yeah. It really is. Like, if you're putting so much time on all these other things, you never can really hone in one of those skills to be a true professional at it. Some people have, there's anomalies out there, but realistically, I think that if you focus on one thing and you're good at that, and it's something that's marketable and there's money to be made in it, then you can run a business there. You're not going to have a huge ass, Toys R Us of custom paint or building bikes, but you can run a respectable business and have a good life doing it.
So kind of a balance of doing what it takes to build your name, but not, whoring yourself out there, and then slowly finding your niche and then stick to it and get good at it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like if you start doing things young, then you most people that are younger, they don't have as much responsibilities as like a 35-year-old man with 2 kids, a mortgage. He has a lot more on the line that if he comes up short one month, it could be out the house. You know what I mean? When you're 21, man, I can go sleep in my buddy's house. I can go crash on a couch. I can crash at the shop. Like, you're resilient, but you can get away, and that's when you should be. And that's like the old saying. It's like learn in your 20s, earn in your 30s, and live or retire in your 40s or something.
I don't know, but I'm trying to do it.
Yeah,
I'm in my 40s, something. But hey, I still think I'm in my 30s. I act like I'm in my 20s though.
That's how you stay young, though. Is that you never, not never.
Not never. But I do regret sometimes like reposting your helmet though, because it's like freaking 100 million people hit me up about it. Like, it's like, oh my god, here we go. Yeah, here we go again. Great stuff though.
It's what doing custom paint. It's kind of easy to use social media because you have a visual thing. and that visual thing gets shared a lot. It makes it easier to kind of get more known and whatnot. And, you know, also, I mean, you guys make a visual part too. I mean, I always think how hard it is for guys like, you know, fueling down the street to make engaging social media posts when they sell a product that you can't see on the bike, right? And they've actually done a really great job doing, you know, product photography and bringing in all these other elements to kind of jazz up the product so it looks more appealing on a post. And I see you guys have been doing the same thing, like building the set out there to kind of do the lives and do the shots of the parts. That way they have more of a, if they're not on a bike, then they still look cool sitting there. You know what I mean?
I give much credit to these two gentlemen to my left and right on that one.
Yeah.
Like, I sit here every day and listen to Brett and them answer the phones, and we hear it every day from customers about this bar, that, and I'm like, I'm not even sure how these two make it social media entertaining for the crowd to continue to call the way they do on taking a picture of a handlebar. Yeah. Like, it's just, like, I don't mean to be blunt, but to me, it's like it's a handlebar. I love the handlebar, and I ride the handlebars, ride the seats, but hear it every day. I'm here doing it every day. Like, I see all the bars, and these two can come up with some kind of way they can entertain it differently from a perspective that has and 60-year-old man riding a bike, because he comes by here the day, I bought a lowrider, and wouldn't leave the shop because he wanted to sit there and talk all day, to the 18-year-old kid that just bought his first Harley, you know. And it's pretty crazy to see how people can do the social media genre and the ideas to continue to get the 60-year-old guy that won't leave the shop from talking to us to the 18-year-old kid that's bringing his first Harley here to want to buy a seat and a set of bars. And like, all that to me, it's stuff, like, oh, it's just another picture of a set of bars.
Well, all three of us,
it's crazy.
All three of us had cameras earlier. We were like all influencers in the wild.
I didn't have nothing.
And you're just sitting there being a fucking old man.
Yeah. So
I'll take that credit though. I'm fine with that.
So we've got Grady's the one over here laughing and talking. It's obviously not Jason. And the other one he's alluding to, other than Dave, who's talking now, is Ben, his brother. Yeah. Ben's coming on board with us in a little while. We're pretty stoked to have him come on full time. He's been working with us for a while, doing a lot of our social media stuff, a lot of our shoots. Also worked with a local guy named Colin that we did some of the drone shots, and then he was there shooting too. So really good vibes, and we're stoked to have him coming on full time. We're going to be doing a lot more content. It's going to allow me to focus more on product development and kind of schedule these things so that we can do even cooler shoots rather than just, you know, off the cusp. Hey, the guys are here. What do we do? Yeah. We really want to budget out and plan and bring some, just like we do everything, just something new to the industry.
I really think that it does really do a lot of benefit to a company that takes the time to actually invest in. Maybe, you know, it's fortunate if you can find somebody that's into bikes and rides and all this shit, and they do photography or videography of those things. But if not, like, reach out and find somebody to come in and shoot this shit and build a relationship with the photographer. That way you can work together to create better stuff to post online. Because at the end of the day, it's like there's so much content out there. There's so many posts. There's so many of everything. Think about it. How many handlebar riser people are out there, right? So what's obviously going to set you apart on social media is how you portray those things. You know what I mean? Obviously, the parts are different, but to most people's eyes, it's like, you know, it's a set of bars. You know what I mean?
And when you say portray, there's so many different aspects of that. You know, it's how's the company portrayed? Because you can have a rad part that's made by a company that maybe the owner or the face of it, or because it's owned by a huge corporation or whatever your reservation is, you'll go get something else that you don't like looks as much, but you jive with that company, their vibe. It's just so interesting how much you can steer a brand in that way. You know, I mean, we make parts for people who want to ride, and I can talk about our parts all day long and how I design them. But when it comes down to it, getting into our customers' hands, that falls into Ben's lap and in our influencers' laps. And you know, the influencers are a huge part of that. I'm super thankful for our influencers.
I think we like the term brand ambassador better.
Yeah, brand ambassador. My bad.
It does sound a bit better.
It sounds a little bit more like an actual job title.
Yeah, you're a brand ambassador.
Well, you know, the thing about it all is, you know, there's like two different customers, right? There's the customer that follows your brand and they just dig it. They dig the shirts, the brand, the vibe, like you were saying. And then there's the guy that it's like, I'll run whatever the fuck and get my hands on. What's a good deal? What's a used part? What's on FXR, Dyna Parts Trader? There's those guys. And there's nothing wrong with those guys depending on the type of build that you're doing. But, you know, one of the things that when I would buy, like when I bought my last Road Glide, the first two things I bought were bars and the seat. Those are the two things I want to change the most to give me a comfortable feel. And
where you're interacting with the bike makes
exactly.
Most sense.
And so the same thing on this last bagger is bars and seat. And so, you know, for me, it's like I just bought a $27,000 bike, or let's be clear, I just financed a $27,000 bike. Like, I'm not gonna go
you
buy
bought
it
though. You got to pay for it.
Yeah, I'm still paying for it.
That.
I think I've already paid the $27,000, but I think I have 15 left on it.
Yeah, riddle me that.
Yeah, so. But like, I'm not gonna go put a fucking used seat that some stunt rider's already looped and it's like on the fucking gram for half the price right now. You know, it's like, no, I'm fucking putting a nice seat on my shit.
It's just cool that we have that level of I don't know, customized or custom seats available now.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there making different products, and well, you know, I feel like we were early to the game for the niche that we cater to, and I'd love to be the only person out there catering to that niche, you know, for money's sake. It's really cool to see the innovation and what everybody's doing just across the board in that aspect, because there's so much to be gained in it, and it also pushes, you know, for us to just find something that much better, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, there's so many things that we've just touched the surface on, like this performance bagger thing. I mean, 5 years from now, imagine what these bikes are going to be like. You know?
Yeah, it's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like back in the big wheel days. Let me bring that back again. There was always like different levels of bike builds.
Wait, did you just say back in the big wheel days?
Yeah,
We're going back to the big wheel days.
back in my big wheel days. But there were certain bikes you would see that would have a certain brand of parts, and you knew those parts were cheap, or at least manufactured in a cheap way so that they could be cheap parts. And to me, it's like it would devalue the bike. You know, if you start putting out a bunch of, you know, for lack of a better term, just cheap parts like you know, Amazon shit or the Chinese knockoff shit that everybody does because it's $50 less than the actual R&S parts. It's like that doesn't make your bike worth more money. Your stock parts were probably better than that. You know what I mean? And you would see that happen a lot. And then what is definitely going to happen with the performance baggers and everything else is that once China sees that there's a market for it, they're going to start knocking off companies that make nice shit that's common. You know, that's why, I don't know if you ever saw that shit that took place with like Arlen Ness and Roland Sands and PM. Yeah. They literally just verbatim copied their shit and the logos, everything, the exact product. But when you held it, it felt like you can, you know, crush the aluminum grips in your hands. Like it was just a cheaper grade aluminum.
There's nothing that upsets me more than that. And quite honestly, to anybody listening to that, that's your responsibility, guys. Mine too. Where we spend our money is what allows those people to do that to the hard-working companies and the Americans that are trying to make quality parts. And I'm not saying America first. If you're international listening to this, there's international companies that are making badass parts. And if you're making something I want, I'm going to buy from and support you. But the reality is there's a ton of companies that are innovating, that are supporting their families, that are struggling on the other side of this pandemic. And if never before, right now is the time to really take your dollars and choose who you're supporting. Because, yeah you can get a $100 Kratom fairing off of Amazon and throw it on that bike to sell. I've flipped a lot of bikes, and the first thing I would do, I go around and look at what do I need to replace on this so that I can make some money off it, put it back to where somebody would want it. And it was always that cheap aftermarket stuff that was rusted out. It'd come off the bike, and, you know, we'd bolt on either replacement stock parts or something that was decent quality, and we'd make money off it because now it was done right. And I just encourage people to invest in your bikes, realize the investment power that you have when you're spending those dollars, because it's huge to companies like ours and anybody else that identifies with me. You know, I can't say it enough.
Yeah, that's one of the things I worry about with the way things might go. I mean, I say might because you never know. You know, obviously there's companies here that's already, you know, fuck it, I'll say the you know, Sly Fox in the drag specialties, he pretty much knocked off like half the people's shit, like Hoffman's fenders, other people's triple trees and bars, and like they just knocked it off and like put it out in drag as new performance parts. You know what I'm saying? It was a tough thing to kind of, knowing a lot of different people that are smaller businesses, smaller people, like they get hurt from that. You know what I mean? Because they're all in on their businesses. They're all in on these products and these and everything. And not everybody has a millionaire backer to kind of like,
I don't know who owns that company. I don't know who they are. So there's no offense. I respect anybody who speaks plainly, and I also know you, Jason. You're saying that because you would say that to anybody, no matter if it was in person or not. You're simply saying, "Hey, I call it how I see it." I will just say, as somebody who worked really hard to develop a brand in multiple genres, whether it's the seat industry, bars, now we're doing hard parts, risers, various brackets. There's a lot of different things that we intend to get into, but the reality is a good idea is one thing. Mm-hmm. Bringing that part to market is another.
Yeah.
And then maintaining customer service on those things and keeping them in stock, and over the years maintaining a customer base. These are all different levels that most people don't experience, don't understand, that companies go through. They don't understand why a company starts up and all of a sudden their customer service goes down the toilet a little bit. Success can be one of the most difficult things for a company to overcome.
Yeah.
And during those times, when you have other companies seeing what they're making and they step in and all of a sudden out of nowhere have a foot or there's a seat, a triple tree, bars, this, that. It is a little frustrating because it's almost kind of like somebody just jumped straight in front of that line. Now, I don't know who that person is, and I don't really care to waste negative energy on it, but I can understand where you're coming from as somebody who's tried to develop things, and it takes time. Things don't just pop out of thin air like that,
Yeah.
So call it what you will. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other.
Yeah, it's just one of those things
popped up out of nowhere.
It's kind of like one of those things I probably shouldn't bring up, but it just, when you see like the traveling on the bike like I'm doing on this trip and talking to different people, like, and hanging out with you guys all day, like you see the struggles or you see the things. Well, I really haven't seen any struggles here. We've just been partying all day, but
but I understand it too. Like we get in. I've been around a while in the biker thing, and I bought bikes before the internet.
Yeah,
really with stuff and did parts. And I've been guilty of buying parts from probably people that ripped off people. And it happens, when I didn't have any money. And
it's hard to know everything, too.
Yeah, it's hard to know everything. You can't keep up with the world. And I understand that people want to make a living doing what their dream is.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to, God, I would love to own a business that made motorcycle parts and I could sit at home and enjoy the world as well.
Yeah.
But as things have go along and I appreciate things that go on, I kind of understand things a little more and see it a little from a different aspect of it and kind of appreciate that, of it. But
what I try to get people to think about is that, if you do a little bit of history research, and you'll realize that like back in the billet chopper areas of like the billet chopper era of the early 2000s, there was a lot of money in bikes. Therefore, a lot of companies started coming in and, trying to, well, we have 50 CNC machines. We can go ahead and make all that shit right now. And you know what I mean? So there's when you have a prosperous industry, it inspires a lot of other companies that aren't really biker owned, oriented, or about bikes come in and they're trying to get a piece of that profit, whether that's doing some manufacturing or just coming in and making their own products, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that, but like seeing a company that weathers the storms and comes in this industry, and then they weather that drought that happens just about clockwork every 10 years or so, and you see them kind of bounce back and figure out how to stay relevant in a changing motorcycle world, like that means something to me. Like I want to see that. That's what I was telling you about earlier. It's like, even though we've both been in the industry for a while, it's still like I'm excited about the next 10, 20 years of seeing these guys that are starting ground level, but they're good people, and being able to be friends with them and see them grow their companies over the next 20 years and become the industry. Not just a part of it, but become the industry.
I think it's really going to be amazing. Like from where I come from now and seeing Dave's products and the things they're saying, like where we're at right now, like I obviously have a KTM and adventure bikes, but what's the Harley market going to be in 20 years from now?
Yeah,
10 years from now?
It's
like,
exciting.
What is Lucky Dave's bar is going to be on a bar 10 years from now? What bike are we going to be riding? Like, think about it. 10 years ago, what were you riding?
It's a cool time to be in the industry for sure.
Yeah, well, it's a cool time because you have to be on your toes, man. You know, just like, I mean, fuck, isn't this place supposed to be fucking electric only in like 5 years?
Maybe. It's got solar panels and leaf green, and I'll be outside pedaling at a treadmill. So
if anybody listening could have seen my face, and I like literally just got so disgusted.
Yeah.
I've been my whole life. I love California, but everything changes, and you start talking about that. There's just been some things that I thought I'd never see, you know, and they come to fruition. You start talking about everything going to electric and the actual implications of that.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. I hope to God we don't try and do something like that. It would cost us so much money. And then all of a sudden, so what? Now all of a sudden everything's collectible?
I like the grow green theory because I'm kind of a nature guy. But at the same time, there has to be, like, we've already done so much damage. So let's don't go down the road of, like,
sir, your $50,000 Bronco's worth nothing now.
Yeah,
you have a nice paperweight.
I don't know where we're gonna go from now, you know. But I'm all about going back to nature stuff. But
yeah,
I think I'm the only one.
Well, the problem is that there's too many people in the world to go back to nature. We would just fuck up nature, and it'd look like Slabs City.
So at this point in life, like I agree with that. Like, what are we gonna do? Like,
we're going to go ride horses.
Let's go ride horses. Let's sell our Harleys and go ride horses across the country. Why not?
You got some Lucky Dave saddles coming out, bro?
Hell yeah.
But that's the thing. Like,
Can I get a diamond stitch?
I actually love riding horses.
They want to go green.
Yeah,
I'd gladly let you go green. Come over to my house. I'll take you out. I'll put a saddle on
I think everybody's opinion of what going green means is different. You know what I mean? So we're in California, so maybe going green for some people is just getting high. You know what I mean?
Well,
but no, like it's a very interesting time because, like I said, with as much as I like to bag on the Indian Challenger, that bike coming out is hopefully going to, and we've been saying it forever, is going to push Harley to make a little bit more of a technical. Hold on, let me work on this word. Technological. I don't know why I'm having a hard time.
I'll ask you a question.
Technologically
advanced bikes, you know, and it's going to make things better. And I think, or at least push Harley to do some better product stuff. I'm hoping my bike just holds out for another year and a half until the new frame change that we all know is coming with Harley, and possibly more. You know, I think they were talking about doing a monoshock frame, things like that. Would be it'd be nice to be able to get one of those bikes. I probably don't want the first year, but you know,
but I remember
like
last podcast you really disliked the Indian Challenger.
Oh, I still do. Yeah. I don't like it.
There's certain aspects I can't stand either, but I would love to. I mean, if I could do what I want to do, yeah. I think we all just want to get our hands on her, you know.
Yeah. Oh, y'all can get y'all's hands on it. I won't touch that herpy infested bike, but no.
Oh my lord! I guess you don't ride my KTM.
I don't. No, I'll ride any other bike. It's just Indian. Well, the funny, everybody takes it seriously. It's just a joke to me.
I know, man.
But it's a fun joke.
That's why I
like
bringing it up to you.
I like talking shit, man, and that's an easy thing to talk shit about.
I couldn't care less. There's certain aspects about that bike that I really like. There's also things that I'm not huge on. It still has a little more plastic than I would like.
Yeah,
there's too much stuff covered up on the engine. I'd like to, even if it doesn't need to breathe, I'd like to see it breathing a little more.
Yeah.
And then that fairing, I mean, you really kind of limited my creativity with that fairing, but I think Barnstorm did something really cool where they opened it up.
Barnstorm put it being like a number 2 for me on the scale of cool bikes to like a 4.5, maybe 5 out of 10. Out of 10. But the fairing itself, like the actual outside looking of it, like I like the fairing. I think it looks cool. It looks very it looks like what Harley might have done with the newer version of the Road Glide if they didn't, only change things 10% at a time. But that the bike itself, like there's certain aspects that I just can't get over. And as someone that's visually looking at things like the profile, the stance of things, there's just certain areas that just fall flat on their face on that bike, and I can't get over it. I can't unsee it. You know what I mean? There's like, for one thing, it's the only one I'm gonna say. If you look underneath the seat, there's a side cover area that's like as long as the saddlebag, and I just can't get over that. It's like, what the fuck are you hiding in there?
I actually seen that part. We were in Tennessee, looked at it, but I will say I think you have the same. I think I'm brainwashed.
Yeah,
because I think the same thing when Ben and Dave and then when the Pan America got released, was it this 24th or so? of it. Like the moment it got released, like I was enthused. Like I was like 150 horsepower. Like this bike, like Harley just did this.
Yeah.
Like, I was stoked on it, but I think I'm stoked on it because it has the words Harley Davidson on the side. I still am a brainwashed retard that because it says the word Harley Davidson on the side, I still get.
Well, let's clarify. You talk about yourself that way, but I think there's a lot of our listeners that would agree with you,
yeah,
and probably us
stuff.
too. So
it's just like crazy. But every get it in like that. The reason why I don't like the Indian Challenger was because it wasn't a Harley Davidson.
Did you call it engine?
Engine Challenger. Maybe an Indian Challenger.
Might need to go back and bleep some of this out by the end of the night.
But actually, I said Indian Challenger, my Cajun accent.
So you're not from Mississippi at all.
I'm not. But anyway, my point
is
being,
that whiskey kicking in, dude?
Yeah, what's your favorite recipe for cat,
in.
Grady?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, like I think we all are in that boat.
Yeah,
like, we thrive off this thing, and much as we hate the bike, it's the reason we love it though so much.
Well, there's two people that I think that like in my world that I've seen that like the Indian Challenge, the people that are true like customizers, that they just want to customize things. They see that bike as an opportunity, and a lot of people see it that way. And I don't hate that. I think that's cool because that's what makes shit cool is people customizing it. And then there's the guy that never quite found a connection to the Harley culture, so that new bike that's a good deal, air quotes, is a good deal for him. And like, I don't buy bikes because it's a good deal. I buy bikes because it shit feeds my soul. You know what I'm saying? It sounds gay as shit or like a Hallmark card, but it's the truth. Like, I feel like complete having a bike that is a representation of myself in a sense. And I'm sorry that myself identifies as a Harley, but you know,
it's fun. Like you were talking about earlier, we were making fun of something earlier. I think I said something about my KTM and your bike, and you're like, hey, you grew up on Hayabusas, you get riding big bikes, like that doesn't phase you. Like for me, like I didn't. I grew up on Harley. Like it's my blood and soul. You walk back in Dave's shop, he has 202 Road Kings, you know, the whole the theory. But there's a reason why he has the specific gears he has. The Defender, the FXR, like that. There's a reasons why things are in the shop. There's a reason why they are. And it's because, you know, a little bit of brainwashed, but like we grew, like it's in the blood, like it's in his blood.
You know, San Diego culture down here, like you can't. Is there any other bike made down here? It's like you grow up here and you fall into like the Harley culture, like that. This shit's thick down here. You know what I mean?
It's even super thick outside what people think of the performance thing. Like Dave's grew up here. Like I'm not a true San Diegan. Dave is, and Dave can tell you when I first got here in the years, he was probably around there. It sounded like there's a big, thick, old school Harley culture here too. Like I've seen some of the best choppers. When I say choppers,
there was one that did y'all see that one on the that was parked in the it was like pulled up where the picnic tables were on one of the roads we were on earlier out there on the beach.
I didn't.
Yeah, he just had a little chopper. He had it all his bag taken off on the.
Oh, I should
right
have that.
Yeah,
they're all over here. Like there's a big old school.
Yeah,
like there's from. I can't even say it, old school bikes, the custom bike scene. There's a lot of like.
It's a vintage choppers, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a man.
Harley has a culture like nobody else, and that's what's interesting. Is that's the real question? Is Indian cutting into Harley's culture? You know,
I think
are they cutting into bike
possibly,
share? Yeah, but are they cutting into their culture?
I hope they do. I don't think they are, but I hope they would.
Man, you know it's weird. Like seeing it grow. Like I guess. What the fuck that was? Like a weird burp.
How much have you had to drink? You talking about me?
So
Buffalo Trace.
Well, those fucking sour beers had me pretty fucked up earlier. I went back to the hotel and like passed out for like 5 minutes. It was like a power nap.
I love that place earlier.
But no, like the Indian, I think is it's definitely they dropped the ball on the FTR, right? They had this bike that was a perfect price. It was going to be all this shit, but it wasn't really a modular bike, meaning you can only really do one thing on it, which is probably rip around town. It wasn't really something you're going to go travel the bike. You know what I mean? That's what's always been great about Harleys is that you can do whatever the fuck you want to do on them. And now that you have this performance culture that's kind of sweep the country, you can also take this traveling bike and make it do wheelies, or you can make it carve corners the best of its ability. and you can do it all with your shit on the back of it on the way to the track, or on the way to the fucking stunt show, or on the way to do whatever. But this new Challenger is kind of like the first thing I think the Indians came out with that might have staying power, but they really need to start focusing on the fine details of their bikes and polish it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Harley's probably eventually going to come out with a water cooled motor. The one that they're putting in the Venture bike and the Bronx and those other bikes. It's quite possible they could actually end up putting that motor into some of the actual big twin bikes or the other platforms. It's possible.
Well, the horsepower it produces, I think it says 150.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure. Like,
yeah, but
maybe,
it's also
maybe your bagger doesn't. But yeah, I know it has different things. But
it's got weird. It's only got like 98 torque though, and that's one of the things. Like, you can have this horsepower thing, which is great on a very light bike. Like, you get a nice aluminum frame or something like that, and you got 150 horsepower, but you only got 98.
I think the technology is what I'm referring to. Like, they have the technology to produce that off a bike. Like if they can do that, the idea is there to make it produce in a different manner.
For sure.
Yeah, I think they could.
If nothing else, we have two giants that are head to head right now, and it's a good thing for us.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. I hope some people buy it, some people like it, and they, if nothing else, competition is always good for the market, and they'll push Harley to make better bikes. So.
And it actually pushes Dave too. Like, he has to make better parts now. Right?
Yo, you're gonna do a Challenger seat, bro?
Yeah, we'd like to. We'd like to be able to fulfill our current demands on seats, which we're having a hard time doing. And again, we appreciate you guys have been patient, but that's been really difficult for us during this time.
Yeah.
And just bringing anything new to market is kind of takes a back seat when you're already everything you're invested in is slowing down like it did for a little bit. We've had things open up and things are better now. So for a little while, been getting back on track. Hopefully, pretty soon we'll have the ability to look at some of that stuff. Yeah, I'd like to make a seat for a Challenger. I actually really like the FTR.
I like the bike too. I just like they had a lot of problems with it, like a lot of recalls, things like that. Was wrong.
I didn't pay attention to that. Maybe you liked it more than I did. I don't know. I didn't hear about that.
I wanted to see if it was going to have the thing is that like Indian's done some decent marketing for their brand, right? And the marketing for the lead up to when something gets released has been strong, but the follow through marketing has been flat on the face. So they did all this marketing for the FTR. They got the whole world hyped. It was coming on right when Flat Track was kind of at its peak of like interest of people across the country. And then it comes out and then like nobody ever sees anything. Nobody sees anything about this bike. There's not like there's no Carey Hart's ripping this thing around the fucking Flat Track, things like that.
That's what I mean by the culture, though. So you don't have the culture that embraces it and backs it up. And if they can start taking that away, I think Ben's agreeing with me, or you get that follow-up from the aftermarket, which is a huge part of it, then you would start seeing them out there more. But there's nobody posting pictures of, I just put what on my FTR. You know? And Harley, if you're listening, if you want to play well with the aftermarket and let us into your dealerships and stop with the lack of, maybe discounts for us who are trying to get parts and put them back together simply because we're not a Harley this or that. Like, I think those days are kind of gone and we should all be working together. And right now you have a huge aftermarket that is probably your saving grace.
Well, if they drop the ball on countering with a bike that actually has some like more shit, like the thing is, I'm different than most consumers. I don't buy a bike because it's a good deal. I buy a bike because I want it and I want to customize it to what I want. I don't want to buy it already done. You know what I mean? It doesn't, I'm not a huge car guy or truck guy. So if I buy a nice truck, I want it to just be that truck and the way it comes. Like, I want to fuck with it. You know what I mean? Because I want that thing to be reliable. My bike is like my chance to make something that represents who I am and what I think that I am, whatever. And I want to customize. I don't want to take it off the showroom floor and be like, oh, I love this stock color. You know what I mean? I love, my fucking buckhorn bars that come on this thing. Like, I want my shit on it.
I can relate to that. The same thing. My brothers give me grief all the time. I radio all my bikes. My trucks always usually stay pretty much the way I bought them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the fact that
I'm gonna call bullshit on that.
Yeah.
We can't leave nothing alone, dude.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What truck? The one you just sold was like you just put all this
I put wheels and tires on it.
And a lift kit. And sold it how long after?
How long did I sell it? 3 years?
If Grady ever has anything for sale, maybe you should just follow him on OfferUp. You want to give a shout out for your OfferUp?
They still have OfferUp? I think that
my point to the whole statement was I agree with the vehicles, but the thing is, and I like how you brought the community different from a perspective that you could show the same parts that we ride.
Yeah.
Can do rides across the country.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
you
cool.
didn't take the bars and the seats, and the thing is you took the same exact bars, the same exact seats, the same exact performance suspension, the same exact performance motors, the same exact performance stuff that Lucky Dave's and all these other companies bring, and people take it and do the same thing they're doing at Daytona right now. They're doing it at any other event they do when they do the stunt shows, and you're taking that same exact equipment and you're showing to a different side of the community that can travel from. How many miles you put in your bikes in Sturgis? You said 15,000 earlier. That was the comment?
Since Sturgis, so the trip to Sturgis and back was 5,000 miles. There's like 4,800, something like that. The trip to New York and back was just under 5,000, and then local riding plus we did a Florida trip, so that was like 2,000 plus, and then this trip right here, so far I'm like 1,300, 1,400 in.
So let's just say 15 to make it sound.
It's around. I think I've clocked the miles. So I clocked the miles before, right when I got the motor. So I clocked the miles when I got the motor, which was already 6,000 miles into Sturgis. I've done a lot of miles. Let's just put it like that.
You ran it all. My point being is you've done it all on the same performance part. These guys and the influencers are doing on things, and it's pretty cool that you can do that on the parts that that Dave's making, and the parts that the things then. You can do all this long distance travel. You could go to the stunt lot. You could do that. They're meant to be put on a bike and ridden. Like you're meant to go out there and use and abuse these parts and do these things with it. That's
the good thing about like this style of bike. That's why, when I get into conversations with people, asking like how long is performance baggers or performance bikes going to be around, it's like I don't think it's not really one of those style of bikes that's going to go away, because it's not a show. It's not like this over the top show of a bike that's going to be this, like if you were to find a 2015 bagger that has T-bars and a seat and it hasn't been raped and fucking neck cut and all the parts are fiberglass junk on it, like it's still a stock bike, you're like, yo, like this is a good deal right here. This dude wants 10 grand for it and it's only got 5,000 miles on it and he's already got the bars I want and the seat I want. Like I'm gonna get that. Versus like some dude that went and cut the neck, or you put a bolt-on neck kit on, and or all the other areas. Like I feel like this stuff's going to be around for a while because you can do so many different things. You're not limited to one type of riding, and the seats that you guys sell, the suspension that we all put on the bikes, they make the ride better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think what you have right now, at least for the performance thing. Performance is a newer phrase that people used to refer to as club style.
Yeah.
And here in California, you had said, hey, that's always been cool. Well, you're right in some aspects. Mm-hmm. If you knew where to look, you'd see that stuff. Yeah. But it wasn't like you saw it everywhere like you do now. And I think you had an original niche that had built their bikes based off of they needed it to work.
Yeah.
And that's where this whole thing came from. And then you had people who got into something and made a bike look a certain way and realized the benefit, and now they do it because of function. And I think we had such an influx. You mentioned a show. Call it what you want, but Sons of Anarchy was good for the Harley industry.
Oh, yeah, huge.
And because you had that show bring all these young cats in who had money, who are now at that prime age, or working hard, and what am I going to spend my construction money on, fill in the blank. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get my Harley, and I'm going to put T-bars, a seat, a this and that on it. Well, now those guys are actually riding their bikes more because they didn't, no offense anybody out there making them, but they didn't get sucked into putting 18-inch apes on and go down trying to ride their bike or clip a mirror. Just stuff that happens when you're doing things that aren't function based.
Yeah.
And I think they had a better experience. They're more endeared. And now because that has happened, you've transitioned to a whole new segue of this is a performance. They took it to another level. That whole crowd that came in, whether they were exposed to clubs or not, it's gone to another level, and now we have this performance thing. that's sweeping from FXRs, Dynas to baggers. You know,
it was a natural progression for a lot of people from FXRs and Dynas, you know?
Yeah. And now we're seeing that, I think, across the board. That is what, for us anyway, what we're seeing is leading the way for Harley. Now, across the nation, maybe they're still selling a ton of electric glides with streamers and whatever, but this performance thing, I don't think it's going to go away as much as it's going to become kind of a black versus chrome thing. You know, where it's like, nah, dude, chrome gets you home. And then we had other people that are saying, hey, you can't run
Black
chrome
don't
unless
crack.
you're over 40, you know, and yeah, there's all these different sayings. The point is it becomes a preference. So it's going to be like Vikla or performance. I don't think it's ever going to go away as much as I think it's just going to be something that maybe other things will overshadow it, but it's hard to overlook function.
Yeah, that's 100% right. So it's one thing that people they keep fucking with me because I say it's a look, it's a style, and even though there is function with it, like obviously the suspension bars, those things make the ride a lot more controllable. You know what I mean? Like you have a lot more control of the bike, blah blah blah. But it still looks different than stock, you know. And at the end of the day, like you fall in love with, man, that fucking bike looks sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're like, oh, so performance is looks. I'm like, bitch, you just said my shit looks sick. You didn't say it rode sick. You said it looks sick. You ain't never rode my bike, bro. So my shit looks badass, right? So yes, performance is a look as well, right?
We all get the looks because I think I have the looks. But I think the one thing is this is we're now joining the company in Lucky Days, and we preached it from this place, and we preached it from that phone when we did talk about it every day, is the function of it. But the whole time we're selling it is like, yeah, my bike does look pretty badass, and I won't deny that.
Yeah.
But it's more about, Davis, pretty much the thing is like how ergonomics of sitting in the seat and how it fits your posture from the bars and how he's designed and he's made the bars. But the thing is, it's from a function standpoint. I won't never discredit that my bike looks badass.
Yeah.
Right.
But I've also ridden my bike from here to there, and if it didn't function as good as it looked, I probably wouldn't ride it as far as I've rode it. And Ben sitting next to you, he has a Lucky Day seat, Lucky Days bars, and he's ridden his bike. I guarantee you we have more miles clocked up, along with you, Chase, here, than most people that's listening to this podcast. And I would not argue that, and I would be gladly challenge anyone to ride across country with us. But the bars they look badass, but it's about a function a little bit.
It's a feel too, yeah.
It's a feel.
And we
you have
push
to
that.
sit in
That's
there.
that line you have to draw, though. That's it, or that. Well, really, that I walk because as much as Grady's helped me bring stuff to market and whatnot, it's ultimately me saying, "Hey, world, this is my idea. What do you think?" You know. And for me, ultimately, it's driven by function, but it's that desire to have that on my bike. I want this on my bike, and so if I want this on my bike, then there's other people that want it on theirs. And I'm going to make it the best I can, and I'm going to focus on this for right now.
I think that one of the things that, when they talk about building businesses, like you want to fill a void, right? You want to take something that's out there and improve it to make it better. And I think that's what initially happened with the seats. That's what's took place with the San Diego bars, those type of things. Because I ran those on my FXR and I loved them. They had a nice little pullback. I was able to sit up straight when I rode. I traveled the fucking country with that FXR, and it was perfect. You know what I'm saying? So filling the void, taking something that's already been done. There's already been seats. There's already been bars out the ass, but this one just worked. It just fit. It was the right width. It was the right pullback. It had the look. You know what I mean? It's like those are the things that bikes are about looks, man. Like everybody thinks it needs to be
the Instagram picture, right?
And that is that line you have to walk because you can't make something that's comfortable and it
pull
looks
them
terrible.
chicks at the beach, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to have the look.
Yeah. But there's something about it, man. Like the thing is that like these bikes don't look like the bikes that we grew up with. Maybe
100% not.
Maybe people that were like hardcore around the club style scenes of the 90s and 80s, 90s and 2000s. You probably seen this stuff, but for the most part, we all grew up with Harleys that looked way different than what we ride.
I also think it's like not necessarily a club style thing. I think it's like a district thing because I grew up around. Let's just say a club style thing. I don't know what that means, so I'm gonna act like I know what that means.
For sure.
My point being is I grew up from the South area, Louisiana.
Well,
it's different.
Bike styles have always been dictated based on the terrain that they live around.
100% agree.
Yeah.
So
and ours was like if you get an FXR back in my town.
Oh, it had
chopped,
fucking
raked out.
It looked like a soft tail is what it looked like.
It was a
I
salt
bought
tail.
plenty of
and
those.
You had to have, what's the guy in the movies? I don't even know, like the skunk freaking, the football player, wrestler guy that had the movie out. I don't even know his name now.
Brian Bosworth.
Yeah, like you had
Stone
to have
Cold,
that,
baby.
Yeah, like you had to have that kind of FXR.
You know what I call those bikes? They say they didn't
No,
survive
you're
the
talking
90s.
about you're talking about fucking I don't know if you're talking about
Brian
Harley
Bosworth.
Davidson, the Marlboro man.
No,
right?
no. He joined some club thing.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
remember the
Bosworth,
movie.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. My point being is my FXR when I was a kid is a much different than Dave XR and their club style thing here. It's just like the way it was. And I guarantee you that back when I was 16, I'd argue that mine was much rideable, much better bike.
Yeah.
No, it probably wasn't. I don't
Well,
know.
you know, like when all this stuff started happening, like when we first put T-bars on my bike and, you know, riding around Dallas, you know, you'd go to a bike night, or not even a bike night, like we have our biker bar Strokers. You pull up into that, it's full of people.
And tie-dye shirts?
Yeah, and tie-dye shirts, yeah. So you pull up, there's tons of dudes there, and a lot of people would come up and look at the bagger with the T-bars in amazement. But there was also people that were on social media and Instagram going, fuck, I love that bike, dude. I follow you on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? That shit.
Yeah. I think your original point, I think I understand what you're saying, because my whole thing is function is form.
Yeah.
And so I think on the last podcast I talked about this probably, but when I first bought bikes, I didn't know what I wanted. I had no idea. It was an expensive journey to figure out what I know now of, hey, I get a bike. It's like, I know what I want. I know what I want to do with it. Before it's even home, I know where I'm going with it. You know?
Yeah.
Back then, it was a lot more about the look, because I had only seen what I wanted to experience. So I was trying to build what I had seen so I could experience what I wanted to experience, you know? Well, the choppers and the bobbers and the things that I would build back then, I kind of want to get a couple of those just to rip around on just for fun. You know, they're kind of like flying biplanes, if you will. They're just challenging, but compared to what we ride now. The point is, I look at them and it's cool to look at, but I look at a performance bike now, and what you were saying as far as it being a look, I think they're so synonymous that I didn't quite get what you were saying, but it is a look now, and that function is form. People see a function bike and they admire it, I think, because for those who know, they immediately know what it's capable of, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. You know?
Well, if you think about it like this, like the argument that I've been having with quite a few people, friendly arguments, not like we're going to fight or anything, but a lot of dudes are like, well, you know, performance brings out this part of men where they're like, you know, it's God and performance, man. Like, you don't take away my horsepower and my fucking this and this and that, right? And I get that. But at the end of the day, you know, every bike style of every generation from the beginning has been a look. It's been dictated by what the style is called. Midwest style, you know, D-rake, or you know, the SoCal style, the club style, the fucking the billet chopper era, the big wheel area. It's all a look. Everything's always a look. It does different things, but then when it gets to this performance thing, it's like it's a very hard topic. It's a very hard thing to nail down, because when you say performance, everybody feels like they're in the club, because everybody has a cam, everybody has, you know,
but do you have progressive shocks, or do you have Öhlins? And do you have the Öhlins emotion shocks, or do you have the gas reservoir shocks?
So it gets to a point where those kind of things there's too much definition as to brands and this and that for people to say, like, that's a performance bagger, that's just a bagger that's fast or whatever. You know, because a drag bagger, like a bagger that goes and does drag racing, that's not set up the way the performance baggers that we have been doing is set up. It's not saying that it doesn't perform, because like I said, it just doesn't look, there's that word again, like the bikes that have pretty much made up this whole genre of performance bagger. Yep. You know,
I guess my point in the suspension comparison, it goes across the board. It's more so how invested is the person, because the look versus the actual function. I think you have a lot of people who see these bikes, they look badass, and now with you know, them flying around the track and just I mean, there's definitely a lot of bike to catch your eye, and now you see it leaning over, and now you see it 12 o'clocking, and these people see a performance bagger And it's what they saw that drew them to it. So, of course, they're going to build it to look like that, whether they're doing 12 o'clock or taking it to Button Willow or not. They're building that look, like you said. Now, that person may get hooked, and that bag that had, cut bag, or that bike that had cut bags and never got scraped may suddenly get scraped one day. But in the beginning, it is that look that he's getting until he's invested. And
Dude,
then you start seeing legit
there's
stuff
people
coming on.
building performance baggers that have the stunt look. They're chopping the bags. They're doing that look now. Because it's become a style as well, like performance stunt bagger, or whatever you want to label that one.
I always said that, but performance baggers are not performance in the nature of like they fit one genre. Performance bagger is built for the who's performing the action in which they're designed to do.
Yeah.
A performance bagger for someone that's stunting is built to be a performance stunt bike.
Yeah.
A person that's touring, their bike is built to be a performance touring bike.
Yeah.
Every bike has a meaning, and that meaning means something to that person, that individual that's building it. And obviously some of these can cross-pollinate from bars to seats to how in which they build it. But a performance guy that's going to a drag strip, his bike in his eyes is a performance bagger.
See,
And I wouldn't argue against that.
what happened was I told everybody that if you have ape hangers on your bike, you're not in my club.
Yeah, but I love ape hangers. I just don't have a bike with ape hangers.
I like ape hangers too, but not on a performance bagger.
I can't argue with you because I actually agree with you. But the point,
the problem, the thing that ticks me off, that grinds my gears, is when
because people don't agree with you.
Well, no, because people want me to accept them. Like, for some reason, I'm a gatekeeper or some shit. Like, that's not the case, but it's like, look, man, like, you have a nice bike. It's fast. It looks good. I wouldn't call it a performance bagger. I would just call it a bagger, right? I mean, you throw a big wheel on it, it becomes a big wheel bagger. You put T-bars on it, or moto-style bars, then you become a fucking performance bagger, right? There's certain things that are the defining. There's certain things that cross over. Cams, brakes, suspension, they cross over on a lot of different types of bikes.
So, all right, this is interesting because I was thinking about this yesterday, because maybe the day before, but we just did an install on P. Diddy's bike.
Yeah.
Say what up. Say what up, Patrick.
What up, dog?
That white Road Glide that I've been ripping around on is, yeah. Say what up, SpongeBob.
If I could describe his personality right now, it would make the podcast, but I can't.
It would take too long. The funniest dude you meet. But his white Road Glide is the one that we were shooting some of the videos on and going live a little bit when we were installing the 7s. And I really like those bars. Again, function. Designed something that was going to cater to a different demographic, but still be a solid mount.
Yeah.
Going to open up your vision of your infotainment, your gauges a little more. And what's interesting is, so I personally liked the San Diego bar look because I associate the look with what I'm used to. It's like that's what I ride.
Yeah.
And these 7s have a little bit more of an ape hanger look, if you will, kind of like a.
They're almost like T-bars with just without the center.
Yeah, kind of. But because of our heavy hitter platform and then that 4.5 inches on center, and they're wider and they have a unique look. But if you looked at them at first glance until you see that they go all the way down and bolt down by the triple tree, you might think that they were a narrow ape. If you knew anything, you'd be like, how the hell do you mount that? Because it's too narrow. But it's a different look, and I think it really bodes to this whole question. I'll bring it back to what you're saying. You look at the San Diego bar, the traditional T-bar that we made, and now we have a heavy hitter version of it on the Road Glide, and you would say, which one's a performance bar? Mm-hmm. And from what you're saying, you would say it's the San Diego bar. It's the T-bar.
Yeah. But to that point, like when I say ape hangers, and I'm not trying to, for my listeners, I'm not trying to just say agree with you because, we're friends and I love your products and stuff. But when I think of ape hangers, I think of fucking 12, 15 inches between the bars.
And you pushed out straight.
That are on risers underneath the fairing, that are far out wide, that when you go around corners, you don't know if the suspension sucks or your bars are making the back end wobble.
And that's different. That's just dangerous.
So
yeah, I've experienced that.
What happens is these dudes, these guys will put Olins and turbos and all this shit. And I don't even think turbos are really part of the performance bagger thing that's an argument I'm not willing to go against. And I just said it, so I'm probably going to get slack for it. But that's another podcast. But when it comes to the bars, like, you can do all this stuff and you got all these things. You got the kit, but you forgot the cap on the kit, man. And now your bike looks like, I've been in the bike game for a long time. I've seen tons of bikes with Öhlins growing up. They just weren't hanging out the back like they do now. They'd be on the bike normal, right? I've seen tons of progressive shocks, even though we don't really run progressives. It's not really a great shock in the world. It's better than stock, but it ain't. Don't waste your money, right?
Sorry, Progressive. I've run a lot of your shocks, but if you make something we can actually adjust, make the 970 to where we can actually dial it in to where it's a good shock to run, and then we can be a little nicer. But
the thing is that, like, these bars, they tend to. I'm just like ruining all your chances.
Being honest, sorry.
But no, the bars is a thing, man. Like, if the bars are set up a certain way, like, the way I like to say it is this, man. Like, when I see another dude with T-bars, especially on the other side of the country where it's still kind of rare, you immediately have a connection with this person when we're talking about a bagger, right? Oh man, fuck, dude, like, I love your road glider, your road king, or your street glider, whatever. What made you want to go with those bars? Oh man, I follow this dude. It's like, it's usually social media influence that help push people into this direction of bike.
Something they identify with.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so we're kind of in the same club here. We follow the same people. We're into the same shit. But then there's this other dude that just has, he's not doing any of this. He's not into all this shit. But he sees a new trend coming on and he wants to do his own thing. And he doesn't want to be he's used to selling big wheel shit. So he don't want to piss all his big wheel customers off by going full T-bar. So he's going to do the performance shit, but leave the ape hangers on there. It's like, you're not fooling nobody with that fucking sheep and wolf.
I don't know, man.
I gotta get the
get out on the road, take him to the canyon, see what he can do.
That's the problem.
I mean, that's where it's at.
That's the problem, though. So these dudes, and I'm bringing it up again, and the listeners, I'm sorry, but all first off, Facebook, just fucking kill the whole group thing. It's waste. It's gone. The groups are over. If you want to find a good group, we need to go back to chat rooms like the old school way, like AOL and shit. You know what I mean? Take that shit back in the day. But Facebook group chats are fucking a lost cause and a waste of fucking human attention, right?
But I kind of agree with you on the ape hangers thing. And the only reason I agree with you is because I grew up in the South, and the thing is, like, most guys will put ape hangers on it and loud pipes and slam their bikes, and that's like, I'm performing bike.
That's gospel.
I'm gospel. Like, it's a religion. Like, I've been there. I've actually been one of these guys.
I am too.
Like, it's not a thing. I've been one of these guys. Like, I'm not ashamed to say that.
But
I buy the bike, I put ape hangers on it, slam it.
The thing
put
is,
straight pipes.
I don't hate ape hangers. Dude, if I was gonna build a Vikla Softail, I would prefer to do an ape hanger like a Carlini or something versus like some beach cruisers.
100% agree. Yeah. But I also agree with you on the turbos.
You're just saying call it what it is.
Yeah.
And don't try to call it what it isn't.
Yeah, it's like there's certain things you don't do on certain styles of bikes, right? Yeah. The argument that
don't put Tabasco on my Cheerios.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how strongly you feel about it.
There's so many things that you can do to a certain style of bike that makes it not that style of bike anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, like, let's be real. Like, if you are going to build, like, if I was going to build a Vikla and then throw T-bars on it, would it be a Vikla anymore?
No. I don't know. But
who's riding it?
I mean, not saying it ain't done. Not saying people don't do that. But is that the traditional look of the way the Vikla style Softail bagger is done? It's not done with that. It's usually beach cruisers or fucking ape hangers.
So on that, when you said what is more done or what's more traditional, the reason I brought up the sevens is not because I think that's what you're alluding to, and I think that you're including those in ape hangers. It's more so I got the point where I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute. If I really like function, I can see my gauges better with this bar.
Yeah.
I can see infotainment better with this bar. It rips. It handles just as good. Why is it that I'm still telling myself I like that bar because of function? And you're right, because it's a look I'm used to. It's something I'm so
that bar still feels like the same look, but to make it a joke, it's kind of like when you're transitioning Right? Like you're not quite ready for a full T-bar, but you want to like put your toe.
Well,
in.
we had some funny actual. Never mind. I won't go down that road.
Yeah. You can call them the transition.
At
bars?
the end, our bars identified as 7s. We'll just leave it at that.
What the fuck? I want my T-bars back.
But it's hilarious. We talked about all the funny jokes about it.
I'm actually really excited about that bar.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
It's gonna sell, man. It's a good shit.
A part of not the design, but like the fun when it came out, when I was here, when they brought it to fruition, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
From one days when he first really started. It is actually a beautiful bar. We initially had it planned and put on the Road King out here with some other parts that we'll let Dave mention here in a little bit that we got coming out. But it's actually a beautiful bar.
So it's still a solid mount. It's a solid mount bar, which most ape hangers are not solid mount. They're connected to a 1-inch riser with a fucking 10-inch bar.
And it directionally,
different.
And your hands are placed in a position sort of the same exact performance feel from the T-bar perspective. Like I don't have a bike that I could put a 7s on, so I can't speak to being the customer from it, but riding and sitting on the bikes and doing the installs with Dave and being a part of it, like it is.
Does it still feel like a T-bar?
Dude, it rips.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's fun.
I actually I'm a short guy. You all here are short guys. Maybe Ben's not. But Ben's
different dads.
But like it goes to the thing, and it has nothing to do with being short. It has to do with
Why'd you bring it up?
Like my hand placement.
You just had to say I was short or something.
Yeah, I had to say you're short. But it's the hand placement of it. You get on the bar, you sit there, and when you sit down on the bike, and the first time you sit on the bike with a seat and you put your hands on the bar, you can tell like, okay, this can work.
Well, yeah. So
this can't work. Like,
we were talking about bar widths earlier. Like I was telling you why I really like the 29-inch width bars, because as a smaller guy, height wise, there are certain, like riding a big ass road glide. Like certain things make me feel like I still have control of it, and if you get too spread out, to me personally, I feel less control of the bike. Yeah. Like if I'm reaching more, and even dude. Ask your wife, man. An inch is a lot, right? Right?
I was drinking a drink, so I couldn't speak, but I know the feeling.
You almost spit whiskey all over me. Thanks, Jace.
I give her every inch I got.
Yeah, so same thing. But if I could get one more in there, you know what I mean?
One more.
Just saying. I mean, if I could.
I shove my foot in sometimes. Yeah, get it, one.
Give her that extra one that I keep it in the back sometimes. Sometimes I pull it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, spare it. Keep it in your side pocket. In your holster.
That extra 1 inch on that.
Some poor guy's listening to this at his work right now, and his boss just walked in and is like, "What are you listening to?"
You wouldn't get
Lucky
it.
Dave's podcast.
So the thing is, like I said, that extra inch of width
matters.
Of girth.
We can't even talk right now.
It makes it harder.
I mean, that didn't make it any better. But I agree. The funny thing is, you sit there, and to get it back to seriousness, we'll talk about bars and performance, because we take calls here a lot. From the operator's perspective, from the designer sitting here, everyone calls. Like, hey, does your bars do this? Does your seat does that? Does this do this for me? Does that for me? Actually is yes to all the above. Mm-hmm. I've had a 6'4" guy come in here, sit in our seat, and put bars on my exact bike and says, this sits me back and positions me great. I've had a 5'6" guy riding my bike, the same exact setup. Look at me, this sits me closer to the bars, closer to the handlebars, sits me more right, and it rides my bike perfectly. And I look at both of them and I say, yes, it does.
Yeah.
The reason it does is because of this. And we can go through all that. We won't do it right now. The point is, like, it depends. It changes your posture, how you sit in the seat, and how you perform. And that 1 inch wire, that extra hardness you were talking about, and the extra 1 inch gives you that. But it truly does. How you sit in a seat matters, and how you ride the bike, and how.
Well, one of the first things that people have to get used to when they're coming into this whole style of bike, the performance Harley period, is it's a different position of riding. So, like, if you look out east, you want to find some good deals on Dynas and FXRs. There's plenty of forward-controlled Dynas and FXRs out there. But when you start setting up a bike a certain way, certain things make more sense and they feel different. They feel more ergonomical because of the way they're positioned and things like that. Riding becomes a lot easier. You guys are on adventure bikes now, right?
I love it.
They got rear sets, right?
Yeah, I don't even know what that is because I know what rear sets is.
Well, it's just, your pegs are behind the rear of your.
But when you're riding it, it feels rear sets.
So
I'm
mean,
new to this, but love
the
it.
thing is, like when you're riding, everybody thinks that like I'm tall, I need to stretch out. Well, stretching out, in my opinion, this isn't science, but in my opinion, when you stretch out on bikes, it feels good for a minute, but eventually it just puts more weight on certain parts of your ass and back.
It puts it all in your
So when you have your feet further under you, and whether it's mid controls or if I ride a lot with my feet on my back pegs, which makes my legs more shock absorbers, so I'm not taking so much of the road onto my ass and lower back, right? Well, that also means that my bars, I'm sitting more straight up and more this. So, if I have bars that have to reach out further, like I said, here I'm good. I'm perfect. Everything's perfect. I feel great. I can do long miles. But one more inch puts me a little bit further. It puts a different strain on my back, where I'm sitting, how I'm sitting on the bike. And then when I move my feet differently, it also this to this, you know what I mean? Like this right here changes your distance just as much as, where they're at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what Jace, what you're talking about, I don't think a lot of people would
I forgot we're not the cameras right now.
Yeah.
This right here, and then that there. Yeah.
But I think I can help people who are listening kind of understand this, because I've had to walk a lot of people
with the whole
through.
cam thing.
I've walked a lot of people. I've had to walk a lot of people through this on the phone. So the whole point is, when you have a wider bar, you're going to your hands are going to spread out a little more. It's going to bring your chest closer to that cross section of the bar. That's just how it is. So the width of the bar actually does affect the height of your risers, or if it's a T-bar, the height of your T-bar as well. And we consider all that in when we're making the bars, designing the bars, and then when somebody calls here. Not only that, what bike are you on? Are you on a wide glide? Okay, well, if you're 6'4" on a wide glide, sir, why are you ordering our Lucky 13s? You don't need pullback in your bars. Get a set of our San Diego bars, and no, I know the 16s sound super gangster, but sir, you're 6'4", you have a wide glide. By the time you follow the rake up 16 inches, it's going to be in your chin, and there's just a lot of things I think that people get preconceived, where it's like, oh, I'm a taller guy, I need taller bars.
It's because they fucking get on Facebook chat rooms and ask stupid-ass questions. And
everybody knows everything there.
I think they look at a picture of a bike and they decide.
It's back to your looks. Well, everybody goes for looks first, and not like the function. Yeah,
there's a look like whether it is like the ape hangers, like I think a lot of people do this. They might not admit it, but you have this vision of how you might look on your bike, ripping down the road, riding or cruising or whatever. Maybe it's fucking ape hangers and forward controls, and that's all fucking good too. Or maybe it's an FXR and you're fucking just whatever it is, it's all good. But sometimes like they don't account the fact that that vision is like you as a 6'4" dude with long ass arms, and you're 5'6", dude. You need to be realistic. You need to set your bike up so that it's comfortable, so that you don't set up a bike to have the cool guy numbers. I got 16-inch bars. I got fucking this and this and this, and then your bike is horrible to ride. You're going to have a bad experience. You're not going to want to do it anymore. You're going to get a jet ski next month, and then you're gone.
It's harder than ever, though, to get it right the first time, and that's why I think there are so many of these chat rooms and a lot of forums. And the forums are actually great. There's some places where you get a wealth of knowledge. Not to talk down any of those places, but the reality is you have some guy. Well,
which one?
I'd
love to get on one. I heard this was great here. Oh, dude.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
I should say, so HD forums, I'll just say that HD forums, they do a lot of, there's a lot of information on there. There's not as much BS, I feel like. Yeah,
I think you got to work harder to be on HD forums. You have to choose to be there, when most of us have turned it into a shit routine to be on Facebook. Yeah. Like, oh, well, Instagram's kind of boring. What's on Facebook? Oh, yeah, I'm in one of these 18 chat rooms, and it's popping up like, oh, I know the answer to this question. What are you doing, Jace? You don't answer questions on fucking forums. Like, even though you have the right answer, someone will tell you you're wrong and stupid, and you should never fucking have been born. You know what I mean?
And that stuff I don't really play around with. I don't care.
And stuff, not to get criticized, is I think too many people in my boat that's been around a while criticize the newbies.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I agree I don't deal with forums. Is you get a new guy that wants to join the scene, instead of encouraging the guy to be something and have something,
because they ask stupid
you
fucking
immediately
questions,
crucify the guy. You immediately crucify the guy for the stupid questions. Like I get they're new
but
guys.
some people don't even ask a question like, I'm sorry, and everybody's laughed at these memes, and maybe I laughed at 1 or 17 of them as well, but about the 100th one got old when the guy would log on and be like, hey guys, just got a Sportster, and it's like, dude, I have a Sportster Roadster out there in the shop.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get it all built up. That's a badass little bike. Tell me it's not. Come ride next to me in the canyons. Tell me it's not. That's a badass bike.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Guy logs on. Hey guys, just got a Sportster. Just wondering what bars I should run. And here comes Dynabro, right?
Yeah.
And he got his brand new Street Bob. He knows everything, and he's gonna make this dude feel like a pile because he got a Sportster.
Yeah.
That to me, I don't really have a lot of patience for it. I don't
called
go
a
on it
totem
because
pole.
of that. Yeah.
No,
But-
I know what you're saying.
But that dude on the
100%.
Sportster may rip by him on one wheel, you know? So, and I've seen dudes like that. The whole point is, I think if everybody could just treat it for what it is, which is a central place for information, because you can't go into a shop anymore and try this part on your bike. It's like, hey, you have the same bike, right on. Oh, I was thinking about getting this color. Can you send me a picture of that with this? And so I can see. 'Cause how much-
It's harder now to find the answers, but they're still out there though. You know what I mean? So that's where, you know, you get the I think the reason why forums are losing their sting is because there'll be a topic and it'll be, what bars should I run? What's the, they don't even say it. What's the best seat? Go. And then it's like, you know,
argues.
everybody's got a
brand,
tribal
yeah.
team, right? And it's brand, right? And then it's like, oh, well, I run this seat. Oh, fuck that dude. One time I saw him fucking finger a dude. You know, some shit like that.
No,
It's like nothing to do with the
shit
seat.
gets made up all the time. Like,
I told you not to tell anybody, you asshole.
but it's the sad thing about it though.
He needed that extra inch. I mean,
Yeah, I did. I just grew like an extra 3 inches right now on that. But it's the thing. Like that's the way it is, and it gets kind of crazy on these freaking forums.
Yeah.
And then you see these reposts of something happened on Instagram.
But so, you know,
I don't get it sometimes.
okay, so I remember this because I was at, hey, bro, what fairing is that guy? When I was coming off Big Wheels, I was in NorCal doing a lot of work, and there was shops there that I did work for that also fucked with Dynas and FXRs. So, I mean, I just asked them. I was like, hey, man, I like this. What is this fairing called? Oh, that's a T-Sport fairing. Cool, man. Where'd I get one? Oh, you can't get one. They're fucking, you know, they cost a lot of money. But there's this other company that makes repop ones that are really good. All right, fuck yeah, I'll buy that. And so that was easy for me then. You know, I didn't have to go on Instagram and go, hey, bro, what fairing is that? But the problem is that most people know how to use Instagram and they tag everything in the fucking photo. And all you got to do is tap that motherfucker and it tells you everything. Hey, I wonder why there's a name on the fairing. I wonder why there's a name on the seat.
I know
But that turned into that joke where it was like, it used to be the legit question, and then it was, you know, if you could get somebody to answer that question, it's like, oh, I got you. Like, hey, what fairing is that? And you walk away while they're answering you. That was like the nude thing, you know?
I'm not a company, and I kind of get that.
Doing
though.
that, that's a good one.
I have a bike, and I'm not a company. And
Well-
I'll post my thing up, and I will literally tag that company in that particular post, and someone will message me and say, so what seat is that?
Yeah.
And I will just like,
Well,
I try to be as nice as I can, and I ask for them
Yeah.
in the most polite manner I can. But the post says it.
sometimes people ask me questions that, like, okay, I could see why they asked me that question about what this part is or what I do there, and I answer those, or I'll tag the company, like, you know, every once in a while it's an easy one. Hey man, what windshield is that? And I'm like, okay, well the picture doesn't really show the windshield well. I'll just tag Clockworks real quick. It'd be an easy one. I don't have to get into a dialogue with this guy, right? Because, you know, I don't have time to do that. Not a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I post and ghost a lot of times. I post while I'm on the shitter or something, and then I get it out there, and then I'm fucking going to work, and I don't check my phone for a while. But when it comes to the forums, what happens is like people ask questions, and they ask questions that there was probably a big fucking 800 thread comment on the same thing a week and a half ago, and they don't ever scroll down and look for it or go use this thing called search. Yeah. Right? It's this really cool feature. It's in everything electronic. It's called search.
What's
you just
so
put
funny
a keyword
is listening
in.
to you. You're the admin guy, or the guy who responds or has like the one like, hey, you might want to search, or you pop up with the link because you have them all saved for like the most common 10, because it's like, I'm on here to get new information. I'm not going to let it be clogged by this, so I'll just help you out, you know. But there's a lot of people out there, you know, like that they legitimately don't know. In the same way that Harleys are new to people, that computers or groups or tagging or they literally don't have a freaking clue.
Most people that are into this shit, right? If you let's say that you never rode Harleys and then you bought a Dyna and you just, what the fuck? What have I been missing? And you're at home, you're not riding right now. You know what you're at home doing? On fucking YouTube, Instagram, following everything. You're trying to take loads of information to you know, about this bike and all this type of shit because you're so enthralled with it, right? And when you do that, you're going to hear a lot of people talk about the brands, and there's so much content out there from YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook to figure out what brands are what. And then it just becomes this weird like thing that people do on these Facebook chat rooms where it's like, you know, let's just start a thread today that I can have a conversation with somebody. It's like, and then it becomes a roast thing, which is fun. I think
you're picking on a bigger issue in society, which is we connect through digital means rather than actually meeting up or investing in people like we're supposed to.
But hey, bro, we got a bike night. Issue, you know? Say we got a bike night this week. You want to come out and you can see all these things in person. We can have a conversation with a beer like real men. Oh no, man! I got a softball tournament that night. Like, fuck off with your fucking like half-ass biker.
I'm the opposite of this. Like, I actually go to them sometimes, and I'm even we're talking about tonight.
Softball tournaments.
Go to bike things, and I have guys that meet me that know me through Instagram, and I truly feel ultimately embarrassed that I don't know who they are.
Oh
like,
yeah,
they walk up to me and they're like, "Hey, man," and they start talking to me like as if they know me.
Yeah.
And I carry on with them with it, but I really I have a hard time because I don't have a lot of followers, but I have some followers, and it's really like embarrassing for me to meet a guy that walks up to me and shakes my hand and really wants to talk to me. And they think,
how fun would it be to be with him at a bar and like pay him $20?
He's been with me. He's been with me.
Walk up to him and say you follow him on Instagram and say like, dude, how did you do it?
The rest of our lives, that's gonna happen.
How'd you do it?
No, but
just get like 10 dudes to line up asking for his autograph.
No, but I'm feeling really bad about. I'm the worst guy. Like I am the. Don't walk to me. That's most embarrassing thing. I hate when people do that, and I really don't know who they are because I try hard.
I think it's really hard. It's hard to say. It's hard to say hate it, right? Because at the same time, like there's no etiquette. This is a new thing in our society, right? There's no etiquette to say like, hey man. Dude, I follow you on Instagram. What the fuck am I supposed to say? Like,
I know.
I
but
like
my
what
point
you
is,
do.
like, I don't understand their
That's
names
the connection.
or their Instagrams because obviously I know your name, Jace, but that's not on Instagram.
But see, everybody starts that way
though.
though.
Like 2-inch Willies is their name, and he walks up to me and says, "My name is 2-inch Willies," and I'm like, "Yes." What's that mean to me?
You got to. That's when you got to dose him with a little bit of that John Wayne. I'm sorry, son. I don't follow you. What's your name?
I do that, but then I feel an asshole because they look at me like.
Well, if his wife's pretty good too. If his wife's there, then it's not a problem. She just sticks her hand out and introduces.
Jess is pretty cool.
Yeah.
She helps me out with like the people, but I get it all the time, and I really feel bad about it. And it's.
Well, it's you shouldn't feel bad about it because it's a very new thing that we have to learn how to navigate through as, you know, people. You know what I mean? Like being social. I mean, there was a point where like we all had MySpace at one point in time, but nobody was like, dude, I follow you on MySpace. You know what I mean? Like nobody ever did that to me ever in my life.
Because it was weird back then, but now you look at, I think in some way, and I wouldn't say this about many things, but sorry, but we can take a page from the younger generation in that. I see kids walk up like it's not a big deal, and they're like, oh yeah, hey, follow me. Hey, I follow you. Or I like your content. Or that was really cool. You see... you see more boys, young boys that are dancing and don't give a crap and do these like hip hop dances these days. In so many ways, I think that they've found a freedom in not caring because they've had to bridge that gap where we had to keep up this kind of like, oh yeah,
masculinity.
Wait, was that you that looked at my? Did you like that? Was that you that we didn't know? Now it's all out there. They live in a world where everything's out there, and for us it's weird to adjust to. For
Yeah.
us it's embarrassing when a guy knows more about you and you don't know what he knows about you, and you're like, dude, how do you know what I look like?
Yeah.
For you, that's hard for you to deal with.
Who
because
sent you?
That's a totally
Who
different
sent you?
world. Yeah. He's like, hey, do I know you? Did I have I seen you before?
Yeah.
But strangely, me and Dave play this at every event that we barely ever go to. Because people have
So many adjectives.
Well, Dave is like the notorious who knows who Dave is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just been the thing. So we go to events and we stand there, like, and everyone walks to me like, "Hey, man, I love your products," and do your stuff. And then someone will walk up to Dave, "Man, I love your bike." Or it's the opposite way around, and me and Dave just like, "Yeah."
Yeah, just kind of sit there and shake our heads. I haven't posted pictures of myself or put myself out there until recently.
We were talking about this when I came in here last year.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. We were just talking. Me and Dave were just talking about this night. Like it's it's like it's inevitable that you have to do it now, but it's like a weird thing that I love being behind a camera and I love taking pictures, but I just don't like being in front of it. On a when we do the podcast, the live ones, like I'm looking at you just like I am now. Like I'm not looking at the camera going, this week on the Fast Life podcast,
Too bad they don't see
we're
what's going
fingering
on
dudes.
live.
You know what I mean? Like we're not doing shit like that. I don't have to be the person that, you know what I mean?
I'll make you a shirt that says I fingered a dude.
Yeah.
Well, it's not me. Yeah.
But so there's
Cocaine's the hell of a drug.
this shit is all new, man. This really is new, and it's like a, like that was a good point. I never thought about it because a lot of the younger generation, they're a lot more willing to be a follower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we grew up thinking like, you're be a leader, be a real man.
Yeah.
But of course, that's a whole nother conversation of just you got to learn how to follow before you lead, kind of things. But
Best leader is the follower.
yeah.
I said something serious then. You just daggone.
Yeah, I had to think about it. I was like, wait,
Yes.
yeah, that's right.
It's a true statement.
Yeah, someone said it
Follow me.
once. But no, so it is a weird thing. It is very weird. Like when you meet people and you do all this stuff online, you put so much out there, even if it's just your bike or if you have a nice bike, it's easy to become somebody that follows you a lot because you have something that's appealing
attracts,
to them.
yeah.
And but I think most people understand that, like, look, man, like I can't possibly know you. Like if I meet somebody and we have a conversation and I'm like, yo, dude, I like this conversation, I'll follow him. If that part comes up, we're talking about social media. But dude, like when you wake up and you got fucking 15 new followers, like I don't have time to go look at every one of these people and go like, okay, you're not a bot. Okay, you're definitely, those aren't your pictures. You're way too hot and you have one follower. Yeah, you don't have time to go through it. Then you got people that have like fucking private profiles, and like I don't have time to do this, man.
Yeah, but I guess I'm really trying to be. I don't want to use the word mentor because mentor is a bad term for what I want to say right now. I try to be like someone that can tell someone something better that I did. Everyone looks at something that someone's got and wants to be it.
Yeah.
I'm a lot older than most people, so I have something that someone didn't have. I don't have it based off I have more than they did. I just have based off I have more years at doing it what they did than they did. And every year they come up to me and these young generations see what I have and want to be it. I really try hard to give them perspective that like you will have it. You will get it. And then so when a guy comes up to me and says, hey, I know you, and the fact that I don't know who they are,
One day I will.
yeah, like, but it's not. That you've seen that in France, but you hate. Like, it's not about you have more followers.
His best finishing line is, "One day I'll remember your name, son."
Yeah, but and it is. I
It
say
just
that a
sends it
lot.
off that life changing.
I do, but I don't mean that to be mean, but like sometimes I say that to people. Like I'm sorry, I don't remember who you are.
Yeah.
And it's not it,
obviously.
but I hope that they understand that. Like, don't look at something what someone has based on what you like. You will be this. You can have anything. You just gotta work for it.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I've also like felt like, when things start to work out well in my life, I'm like, oh, this is what like normal feels like. You get older and certain things start to click easier.
Yeah,
they start to like work. And also, you learned enough over time to kind of avoid shitty things, so you have less shitty things in your life. because you've learned to not chase those things or go down those paths. But when it comes like this social media thing, like I said, last thing I'm gonna say about it is basically it's new. We're all trying to figure it out. We didn't grow up with it. We're kind of a very unique generation where we got to experience a lot of different lifestyles very quickly. Like,
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It happened really fast too.
In the 90s, you know what I mean? When you look at what business was then, like it was like, guerrilla marketing on the street. Like, I need business cards. I need this. We need to go to knock on doors and talk to people this way. And then, when social media came around, we were all adults to be able to look at it and go, hey man, should I do this business wise, or should I just reach out to this chick I used to go to high school with real quick? You know what I mean? There's a lot of new things that happen, and I think that once Facebook kind of solidified itself as the king in a sense back in like 08, 09, we all started using it for business at that point, and that's when things started blowing up. Instagram happened. That was a better thing for us because it was picture based. And then now look, I mean, a lot of our industry now is based on what Instagram has created.
I wouldn't have a business if it wasn't for Instagram.
I wouldn't either. I'd be painting for fucking dudes in Dallas doing goddamn black fenders right now. I
mean, I shouldn't say I might have a business, but we wouldn't be shipping worldwide from this location. I wouldn't be running into people on the other side of the country that know who I am. I mean, Instagram, as it grew, a lot of the companies that got in at the right time grew big time. I've talked before about, a lot of the guys that ride for us, and got some girls that ride for us too, but our ambassadors, that's what you wanted me to call them, right? Our ambassadors.
Yeah.
Just all of that together, it was a timing thing, and it worked for us. What's crazy about everything that we were just kind of wrapping up on and talking about this whole social media thing is that, you're talking about going back guerrilla marketing, knocking door to door.
Yeah.
Right? Hang with me for a sec. It's a little deep.
Yeah.
Back then, that was necessary. That's what was needed in order to get a company out. So if I wanted to launch my company, I would have to go door to door, or I would hire somebody to go to door, or I would focus on making my parts and I would trust a distributor to go door to door. Right? You fast forward and you have a direct consumer avenue like social media, and now a company like mine can grow and be worldwide without a distributor. And it allows us to create and to move in a more fluid way than if we were married to that. And I think that as social media has grown and has created a lot of things that maybe some people aren't comfortable with, it's also created these huge opportunities that we're all sitting here acknowledging, we're all thankful for. None of us would be where we're at without them.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, how long is it that we are going to see these old school distributors still controlling industries when there are direct consumer avenues? And I'm just going to say it. I see companies post, that, hey, I got into this catalog, I got into that catalog, and hey, maybe one day if I have 15 CNCs sitting in here and I have all this machinery to spit out thousands of seats, and I can, have a full team of welders back there, and we can fully produce what fill in the blank distributor wants, so we can make their minimums, then I can go there and we can have these huge orders. But the reality is, I see companies go there, and I feel like that's where companies go to. I feel like that's where companies go to die.
Yeah, it's
because it sucks their innovation out. And now you're focusing on these gigantic orders, and it's a totally different way of looking at business. But I would rather have a bunch of competing, genuine companies that just love the industry.
Yeah.
Than a kind of conglomerate that's controlling the
what
industry,
I would say that goes on with that is basically you have older companies, like people that don't want to take the time to understand what social media is. They don't want to understand what an influencer is or a brand ambassador, right? They just be like, look, this magazine over here, this catalog over here, all I got to do is give them 30%, and then my shit's in every shop in America. And it's kind of like an easy thing for those shops, but the easy is with a lot of cost, right? It really is. it does stifle growth. It does stifle creativity because you're filling orders for something that you're hoping stays relevant. And if you don't also play that game of when this industry turns and changes, if you're not creating new shit or at least trying new shit to fill it out, you know, you can get left behind and become an obsolete brand.
Creates the Walmart effect. The Amazon effect.
So what I would say is that, like, it's scary for companies to try to go down the path of doing their own marketing, right? Marketing is one of those things that you know, you think about photographers, videographers. There's literally, I get 5 emails a day from some motherfucker telling me he can make my website better and I can be the top one in Google.
Right.
And someone else says, your website's great, I can make it better. Or do you want to do this? It's like, there's so many people out there playing the marketing game because that is now the most prized possession, or that's the most top commodity in the world. It ain't oil no more. It ain't that. It's fucking marketing and advertising is everything. Our industry's still small, so we don't have to go fucking super nerd trying to like listen to people's phone calls so we can put our ads on their fucking like, hey, I was thinking about Lucky Days, but don't say it in the microphone. You know, Lucky Days will be on here next week. Fucking
it's like,
dude, that's some weird stuff. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Advertisement now.
But there's so many people that don't want to invest. They don't want to, you know, and to be fair, I kind of understand, right? Because if let's say you're going to hire a photographer to take pictures of your parts to help you with content to put on social media to brand. Well, that dude usually shoots, or that chick usually shoots something else, but that's who's available that you can get to the shop in your area, your market, right? Which is kind of hard to believe because everybody's a photographer. So it's hard to find people that can do a good job for your shit. It's hard to figure out, do I sponsor posts on Facebook or Instagram? You know, do I know the different demographic from a writer on Facebook versus the writers on Instagram versus the writers on YouTube? Should I invest in a marketing guy to come in here and do this for me? Or, you know what I mean? There's so many questions that these bigger companies don't want to, that I think it's like it's like almost asking ourselves, like, how did this universe get created? Because, like, for some minds, like, thinking about the rabbit hole of marketing could be a fucking black hole of thoughts. You know what I mean?
You should follow us on YouTube, by the way.
I did follow you. I had a hard time finding it, though, because you have 2 pages. What's up with that?
Now we have 1.
Well, no, we got 2. The one with the more recent content, like, just go follow that one.
Yeah, that's the one.
It should click out more. Like, if you
they're
go search
both ours, but we lost access to the other one. Long story short,
you forgot the password, dude.
Yeah, that's what it was.
If you search them, both of them will show up now. But the one with the more recent,
and you tried it 5
activity,
times, they locked you out.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it, I think, is that Ben and Dave are going to make some pretty good content about installs and functionality about how we do how they do things here, and the bars, and what from the products of installs and questions and answers. Like, if you follow the YouTube, you will actually get a lot of the question and answers answered, and it'll be pretty good.
I think that, like, that's a good thing. Maybe you know, like we were just talking about earlier, the guy looking for the answers on the Facebook forum, you know, maybe, you know, I'm not trying to bring myself into it, but just
go ahead. No.
You know, hear me out. It might be dope, like, to have like a real testimonial on the videos from, like, you know, Seabear as to why he likes it. Maybe, hey man, I want you to know, like, tell me why you like it, man. Why do you like the seat? Why do you like our bars? Why do you like this? Let's. I want to do a video from a professional stunt rider telling the listener, like, look, I like this seat because when I'm riding, this is what I feel. This is how this happens, and, like, you know, I prefer this for that reason. And then, you know, there could be also a more psychological reason why you want to support certain brands. I'm very much in that field a lot. Like, I constantly have this conversation when it comes to helmets, because someone's like, well, you know, Shoei's a badass. I'm like, dude, one of the best. Well, why don't you wear that? Why do you wear Simpsons? Because I fucking drink beer with Simpson at fucking campouts, dude. I don't know who Shoei is.
That means to a lot of people a lot more.
It means more to me, because they're investing.
I agree with that feel.
They're investing in this industry. This industry is us. I don't see Shoei fucking hanging out at goddamn Born Free.
No,
I don't see them at Sturgis. I don't see them anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, great helmet. I just, like, I also think the helmet I wear, I think Bell does the same thing. Bell's there. They're doing shit.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
that's more important to me, especially as an industry person, is the people that are actually investing in the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
we haven't to date done a great job of getting to a ton of events. I'll be the first one to own that. We want to get to more. What we've been focused on is trying to provide the industry with the best parts we can, stay in stock, keep a good customer representation, and then really is to provide the guys that are doing what they're doing with what they need and get them out there to interface for us, because that, like what you were just saying, Seabear, Jeff, really good dude.
Oh, that's his name?
Yeah, Jeff.
Never knew.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Now you know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of our guys that are like that, and we really focus on supporting them.
Like, motherfucker.
They're using my government name and shit.
It's on his freaking Instagram.
No, we gotta apologize.
You have to bleep that out.
Yeah. But I think it's a good thing. Like these showy companies
My name is Jeff.
are huge.
My name is Jeff.
He's not. No, this. No,
I know.
I think it's a lot of things.
Dude,
like
I
big
met
companies.
him. I met him at Durango Harley. I had to be the guy that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So we were on our.
He's actually a pretty kind individual.
Yeah, he's really nice.
Really, yeah.
So we were coming back
Not
from
who you would think.
Sturgis on our loop back to Dallas from our big trip last year, and he was at Durango Harley fucking with those dudes.
Yeah.
And I walked up to him, was like, "Hey man, follow me on Instagram. My name's Jace. I like your shit. If you're ever in Dallas, man, I'd love to do a podcast with you." He goes, "Oh, okay, right on, man." And I'm like, "All right, bud. Cool. I'll talk to you later." And like, because I don't know what to say either.
The dude's, he's pretty.
He's a solid dude,
laid back. Like he. Sometimes I don't know if he wants to have a conversation or not. He just wants to sit there and just chill.
Yeah, I heard he's real quiet. So
yeah, he is. Like
Yeah.
I think that's makes his personality though.
But no,
my
so
point
that-
though is like your interaction with him, it was what it was, but he's mellow and he's kicked back. All of our guys, to one degree or another, they all have their own personalities, but we try to partner with riders that don't just rip, but they're doing right in their lives. They're trying to be positive to the people around them. People who are naysayers and kind of talking trash and being negative don't last much with us.
Yeah.
And really, they're kind of doing their own thing and going downhill anyway in the overall scheme of things. So we don't. It's not that we get rid of them. It's just not a good fit.
It phases out. Yeah.
Yeah. So the guys that we have on board and that have stood the test of time and are representing our stuff now, we really focus on making sure they have what they need so that they can do
what I would say about you guys, and especially with the whole like you can't do the events, is that if you build your customer base so well, right, that you didn't have to do those events. I know that we all want to be at them, we all want to have a presence, we want to support the Sturgises and the Daytonas and shit, but just realistically, we all can't do everything. We all can't go set up and everything, right? But having the brand ambassadors out there repping the products and being the professional representation of the brands, which is that's the one thing I try to tell people is like, that's my job now, right? That's the job of this is like I represent you out there where you can't be.
Yeah.
And
I think
so when I don't have your fucking phone number, I can't tell you things. I got to email you and wait for a response. Like, what the fuck, man?
I think with Dave doing
I deal with all this. I could go off on fucking like.
I was like, oh, don't get him started.
Yeah.
But a lot of things that people don't realize is like, he's not going to say it here at the table, but Lucky Dave's thrives off 3
Seats?
employees.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like it truly still is a small business,
dude. That's what's great about
people see this thing and they call me every day. They hit me up all the time. I'm like, if you only knew the work that went into it every single day.
That's the thing about social. I think that's the perception that we've all grown up with when we think about business, and we associate followers with success, and we not to say that if you don't have followers you're not successful or vice versa, but it's just a natural inclination to think, they have the best riders in the industry running their shit. They have this, they got seats, they got bars, they got nice shit. They must be a huge company, because we do have huge companies in our industry.
No,
but
there's a lot of hard work goes into it.
There is a lot of hard work, but at the same time, it's like
behind the scenes.
It's not like a smoke and mirrors situation. It's really just like, look, man, like we just have content, man. Like we're still a small business. We still, like until like a month and a half ago, I was a one-man show for fucking a long time.
Yeah.
And
I've got other guys that work for me off-site that are 1099 or this, that. But Grady's right. As far as the core team that is answering phones, shipping out every day, helping me get prototypes done.
Yeah.
If I can't be there, being for meetings. I got a team of 3 guys that are pretty much it. And I don't take that for granted. I really care about the people that work for me. The stress that goes into their livelihoods being, my responsibility. Every refund, if you get a seat and you lie about it and say, hey, I didn't use it, and you ship it back to us and the thing's torn. All that money comes out of my family's pocket. And what people don't realize is in the beginning, even when we were just a company that was in a little 2-car garage underneath an apartment complex in North Oceanside where the drug dealers hung out, I answered the phone, Lucky Dave's. I didn't always tell people it was me or it wasn't. When I commented on Instagram, it was always we.
Yeah.
And that was just me. And it was because I didn't want it to look like it was about me. And I also, some of it, I wanted people to think that we were bigger than we were because we were just starting. But the bigger thing was, I see these companies out there, and my problems for growing and my issues for getting parts or whatever, that's my issue. As far as they're concerned, I got 10 blocks on the beach, and I'm happy to take their call, and I would love to get them their product as soon as possible, and thank you for earning your hard-earned money with me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of always the I guess the approach. But fast forward, now we're here, and I think a lot of people think because they know of us internationally, or they've heard of the name, or they see him in Harley Davidson dealerships, and it's been good to me and my family, and I've tried to be good to my employees. But it's not easy. It's not without a ton of heartache. It's not without putting your heart and soul into something, and you put it out there, and some jackass accuses you of knocking it off, which is absolute bullshit. Like those things that you go through, nobody can prepare for you for those things in life until you're at that moment. You reach down inside and you say, I'm going to keep doing this because I deserve to be here.
For every time I have like a good step up in career, like an opportunity or things are looking up, I usually get one good fucking hater that comes around and just, because I'm pretty fortunate. Like of all the stuff we do, you look at all my posts, you look at all the shit. I don't have shit talking. I don't have dudes saying, fuck that dude. Also, I don't sell products, so,
We do, and luckily, pardon the pun, we don't have that. We try really hard not to, and I don't respond. Anybody has a problem with me, you can call me, and I'd love to talk to you. If that doesn't work, you can come find me in Oceanside. Like, that's just how I am. I'm not going to respond to somebody on Instagram and start some war to where on HD forums now some guy says, I like this seat, and some guy's like, F you because of this. That's not good for the industry.
Yeah.
That's just not, that's not how men should handle shit, period.
That's just that like I said, though, that's that, when it's almost like some customers like prey on, like, I wish this motherfucker wouldn't come through so I can have beef with somebody. I just want purpose in my life, and if I can just hate this motherfucker because he, the stitching was bad,
Everyone wants to join something.
Yeah.
And sometimes people want to join the bad over the good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes that bandwagon of somebody complaining and
it
their buddy
depends on
jumps
the personality, man. If they're just like a naturally like shitty person, or their personality is not understood by most normal people, like, it sucks, man. But like, at the end of the day, like, social media does not dictate success. Like because we have 40,000 followers or because they have 40,000 followers doesn't mean that I have fucking, like, my life's perfect. It just means that I take okay pictures. It's really what it means. You know what I mean?
I got an iPhone. Y'all had like professional photographer earlier.
You were doing good going in and out of portrait. You were like scrolling back to 0.5.
You had fucking dialed in.
Yeah,
I did.
You going horizontal instead of taking videos in vertical. I mean, this is huge progress here.
I don't even know what this is.
Out there using the thirds, rule of thirds. Yeah,
rule of
figure it out.
He got the Zach Morris phone with the camera duct
I know
taped to
you
it.
sure what you're talking about right now.
Dude, that was the most influencers to watch shit I've ever done, though. Today in Oceanside.
What's that?
Tell me you follow influencers in the wild.
I know.
I
don't-
follow.
He has something.
I have to say I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, dude, it's there's two good follows, man. Like that and Nature is Metal. You follow that
Yeah,
one,
nature's metal.
dude? That's fucking brutal.
What? Cody, you had to fill me in right now. I'm sorry. I'm lost.
Tell him about Influences of the Wild while I go pee on something.
Yeah, you can pee on the toilet if you want.
Okay, influencers a while. I think it's just like pictures of people being influencers and doing all this crazy shit and setting themselves up in like the perfect position. It's usually like people taking pictures of people doing that. So yeah.
So it's just like random, like who?
Yeah,
Highlight this.
pictures of influencers in the wild, like being in stupid ass situations, trying to create like these awesome photos and like.
I just thought it was
Instagram.
pretty amazing that I showed up and like you, Dave, Brett, Jay said all this photography.
If you were taking your phone out today when we were all taking photos of y'all's bikes, that'd have been.
I've been an influencer of the wild.
No, that would have been content for influencers. Of the
Yeah, you
wild.
could have taken
Wow.
a picture of us. Like, actually, I think I got a good one of, and so did Brett. Of all of us
no.
taking pictures.
I think
of each
Brett
other.
has the best because Brett has a picture of you taking a picture of the bike, Jay's taking a picture of you, Dave taking a picture of Jay's taking a picture of you, and Brett's taking a picture of Dave taking a picture of you taking a picture. And I'm sitting there in the background with my phone like
finish it, it's that
I don't
long.
even know how to operate my phone. Like it was like I'm like I don't even know how to unlock this
That
sucker
is the
right now.
essence
You
of
could tell
influencers
Jay
in the
stepped
wild.
away because the
Yeah.
volume's not being adjusted when Grady starts laughing all loud. No, because
I'm
Grady gets
sorry.
loud and I see you over there adjusting the dial, and you walked away and he's over here getting cackly, and I'm like,
I
oh,
forget
people's
how
ears are
my-
hurting.
my- I don't have a
shit!
volume
Hold on. There we go.
I don't have a volume control in my mouth.
But nature's metal is better than influencers in the wild.
Yeah, look
Nature's
at
Metal
that.
is,
You see, that's Grady when
that
Jay.
Grady right
yeah,
there
when
with the
Jay
fucking
walks
sound
away,
waves?
that's what Grady's soundbite looks like.
Wow.
It's like somebody having a heart
I
attack.
still love you, buddy.
I didn't realize I talked that loud.
Yeah, you're pretty loud.
Do we have an Iceman?
Yes, we did.
Iceman.
P. Diddy, shake a glass.
Damn it, Kevin! Tell Kevin to get a job.
Kevin, get your ass in here.
But I think we have to tag him before I leave, and I'm actually going back into retirement and doing some certain things. We got to talk about a few things that happened last year for products for Lucky Days before the podcast gets too long, because it's pretty. I think
We're
things
good.
have happened this year that have happened good for me, because I've seen some things outside my military career into like the civilian sector and how you, Ben, and Jace and Dave do business that go into it. Like, yeah, hey, go fixing some ice.
Grady was along for a lot of the
I've been
fun
along for a
stuff and
lot
trying
of
to
the
bring
things,
the
and
products
I've
to
been a lot
market.
I've seen a lot of pretty cool things. Make some pretty cool bikes.
Yeah.
Right? So I've seen some pretty cool products. And I'm able to do a lot of things with a lot of local guys. Luckily, Lucky Days has been one of the lucky guys that we have been able to team up with. That's all really weird.
Grady's drinking.
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta. Yeah, it's
Is
awesome.
my country accent coming out?
No,
your syllables are compounding on each other.
Your whiskey accent is pretty good right now. though.
Jiggity bit of rich.
You're good, man.
I'm pretty sure we just said that I'm somebody that I catered to myself or something. I don't know.
Probably so. Anyhow,
Dude, I'm trying to get on that Grady level right now, bro.
Right?
you got to step up your
You
game,
got a
man.
double
Dude,
fist.
Put less ice in there, man.
Alcohol won't get you there. We will.
Don't say that on the microphone. I'm drinking it straight, dude.
You drink that shit straight.
Neat ass shit.
Anyhow,
me
while Dave goes
cut it with
talk,
water
we're
real
gonna-
quick.
We're gonna talk shit on Lucky Dave. Here we go. You ready?
Okay.
We talked about the sevens earlier.
Uh huh.
You know stuff, right? Obviously, you've seen the risers that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so I have them on mine. You know, got the straights out this year. Everyone produced them, so I think like that's gonna be, and the way you can build them. Obviously, we're sending them out kind of fixture. You got the able to do lower and fix. Yeah, I see you
Yeah.
cringe.
Shit.
It's just
I had a man pour there.
buddy. Take it.
No, there's the good with the risers, like the options that you have with it it makes them very customizable.
It makes it very
makes it
customized
look
from a
good.
custom.
Yeah,
They do look
the amount
good.
of options
Look
with those
good.
things is insane, and you can make them work. I mean,
Yeah.
Make them work. Like, we have available from 6 all the way up to 12. Be able to pull back to straight, and we
Yeah.
give the customers the ability to do a lot of interchangeable. I hate to say interchangeable because they're not interchangeable. They're kind of fixture when you get, but the risers are
Yeah.
color matched to the. You could get like black legs, chrome tops, gold tops, red legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole match, and I think it's a lot lot of fixtures to go into the parts that we have been able to produce over this year. They come out. I think
well, yeah. Cool. I mean, those like I said, I've never really. The FXR I was planning on running the bar and riser setup. Like that's something I haven't ran bar and risers in a long time. I've been a straight T-bar guy for a while, and my first set of bar and risers was like a Forbidden risers and like some fly racing bars. And it was the same thing everybody deals with. Like whatever color bars you get, they're fucking silver the next day after you ride in the sun. But then there's also like the feeling of like, after you put some miles on them, they feel crooked in a way. Yeah. But that's just those bars. It's not all bars. Like those bars I had from Forbidden Moto or Forbidden whatever the fucking company was. Yeah. Which, like I said, I've got buddies that's had those bars for years and it's never been an issue. But I just did. Maybe my brother dropped my bike and didn't tell me, and I just am bashing this company right now, saying like, "Oh, they suck because their bars are crooked." But it just felt like over time things were not straight anymore. But the bar riser setup, I'm becoming a lot more like I'm seeing it a lot more and I'm starting to like it. But I've always been like a super clean guy. Like I just want the least amount of.
I think it goes back to your statement earlier about the visual, the look of the bike. Like look makes a difference. Like I put the straights on my FXR. Yeah. Because it looked better to fit my FXR. Mm-hmm. I put pullbacks on my Dyna because it look better. Yeah. But has to go into the look perspective of it. And the bars have the thing from a dual, when I say dual, the 2-piece top clamp to a single piece top clamp to the pullbacks to the straights, the inlay paint you want to be able to have a colored leg to match a different color top. Yeah. Like these whole perspective of it. It's not necessarily meant to be an interchangeable piece, but the fact that you have and I quote unquote like this, like you could build like a mod. I don't want to say I don't want to use
not modular in the sense they come back apart. They can if you don't epoxy them and you want to take that on. Yeah, but more so that you can put something together that nobody else has unless they pick the exact same combination you did. Definitely more combinations than I think anybody else is offering, and trying to make it easier for people to get that next level, it's, they wanted to do 3 colors in their risers and now they can. They want 2 colors offset. They want a blacked out set. Try to design them to where they just look good overall, and then that color is, kind of the cherry on top.
Yeah, I like the idea. I mean, it's like you get the chance to do a like say I'm very minimal. I'm a minimalist.
I like how you say that, but your painting jobs are very far from that.
But that's because that's what I do for a living. If I didn't do it for a living, I'd have a gray bike or a black bike or something like that. Like I like cleanliness, you know what I mean? And what I think about the bars, like I like so right now, in a sense, like the way I have my bagger set up is it doesn't draw attention to it. You know what I mean? Sometimes, like in my personal opinion, when it comes to designing bikes, when you get too contrasty with everything, it makes it hard for the eye to be drawn to the part of the bike that you want people to see. You know what I mean?
I can see that because my bike, like, it's everywhere.
Yeah. So you have to be very, I think it's more methodical when you're thinking about, like, designing a bike to figure out what do you want the focal point? What do you want what's the nut of this bike? What's the thing about this bike that you want people to notice the first? And you have to design and paint to make everything else the frame of that, right? And so some people, and I'm not saying this in a bad way. This is just a thing that a lot of customers do. It's very common with the performance bike scene because there's not as much designing in this as opposed to like, I like those risers. I like those rotors. I want this. And you throw it together. And I've seen, dude, I was at Ramjet yesterday and this dude had a black, he hit me up and he had a really nice bike. It was just a Road Glide, but he had like gold fork tubes. He had just a couple of gold accents on the bike. And that's what I'm talking about with the risers. Like you could do an all black setup and then just have the little gold rings right there separating. And it's just enough where it's not like a tacky like Honda Civic where you got like, black dash and baby blue fucking what they used to do, like the They paint like the fucking dash inserts like a
I think that's
super
where I
neon
felt
color
that.
or some
Like,
shit.
I quit there and I went to the next level and went super overboard.
Yeah.
And like if I'd have kept it black and had like this one custom phase, I'd have been much better. I had to go pure.
But there's a taste for that with certain people. There's certain people that look draws them. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that my vision is the one and only way. I'm just saying that my personality dictates what I'm interested in. And there's many different personalities and many different styles. I look at your bike and I like it because it's not something that I could create. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more of appreciation. Like, that's badass. Like, when we talk about Andy and his paint work, like, it's not something that I could do because I don't see that in my head. Like, I'm like, where's the gray? Like, I need some gray in this. But that's just my style. But it doesn't mean that when I look at, like, his work and how he finished it, where he stopped, and go, like, fuck, man, like, I wish that I could just do that. You know, because I feel like I need to, man, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of painters like myself find it to where simplicity is so much more harder to achieve when you know that you can add another line, add another.
Which interesting what you're saying, because you're saying, you know, that's what you do for a living, so that's why your bike is so loud. But otherwise, you'd have a black or this or that bike.
I'd have a more clean. Like, I'd probably, you know, like I was saying, the dude at Ramjet yesterday that just had the blacked out Road Glide that had gold fork tubes and a couple gold accents, like. That dude that bike's going to be the funnest bike you could ever ride. You don't have to worry about shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Beautiful bike too, probably.
You know, somebody will paint that fender black again when it gets chipped up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it ain't going to be me.
I love that guy. I wish I could be
it's
that.
It's a badass bike. And then you can get the Lucky Day seat with the gold fucking shit and the stenchion. And you're like, fucking, it's like the goddamn panties on the chick, man, right there.
When you're saying that you want something that represents you or that's different, that nobody else could make, nobody else could have. That makes perfect sense coming from a custom painter. You're selling people on that. Your paint jobs aren't cheap, but nobody's going to pay that if it's just like the last guy's.
Yeah.
That's what you're selling. For me, it's the opposite, which is one of the reasons why I have a black bike, because I want to build something that everybody can build. And I want to make parts that, you know, you put a set of bars and a seat on a Road Glide Special, and that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Pretty badass, you know?
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to keep my shit looking kind of factory, which I know it's a fucking weird statement to make, but realistically, my bike is pretty stock compared to most custom bikes. You know, like,
I ain't gonna give you that one. You got a 131, you got piggyback Olins, you got custom wheels.
It's a bunch of bolt-on shit.
I mean, if you could find a good painter, you'd have a phenomenal. No, I'm just talking trash because I rode next to that thing in the sun all day looking at it, and I'm like, damn, dude, maybe my black bike just doesn't cut it anymore. That thing is so sick.
I think your bike has the one thing that every guy dreams of having, and the thing that I regret to do to my bike, I do regret doing this to my bike, but every time I drive on the road, I like the fact that I did it.
Yeah.
It turns heads.
Yeah, for sure.
Not for anything. Like, no one has a clue what went into that bike. No one has a clue what happened. No one has a clue.
They just
about
know
nothing.
It's custom. Yeah.
The fact that I walk down the road and someone walks by at the beach today. What was he saying? What bike is that? I don't even understand what that is. And Dave's like, it's just a custom bike. Like
Dave's
for me,
like, you can't afford it.
Yes.
No, I didn't. Come on, I wouldn't say that to anybody. That's
and I never say that to anyone. But my point is, it's like
what? Hold on, back up. You got a freaking Dyna with an FXRT fairing with Defender bags on it. No, that's not that.
You can't afford it.
How am I supposed to tell a guy walking with a wetsuit on backwards that's like from Nova Scotia? Like,
maybe that's a wrong person.
I said it's a custom. Yeah. That was the best thing I could have said. I wouldn't be the dick, you know?
Being from a Harley guy, much as I hate the bike and I want to be the guy that just blends in the crowd for my benefit of blending in the crowd, like, there is something about
Nova Scotia.
You should have seen this freaking son got so mad. Grady's like, hey bud, don't touch the bike, and he literally looks at him like a mini Jean-Claude Van Damme and just goes hoof, and like takes both of his hands and
he pushes the air away.
Pushes the air towards Grady like I have no time for you.
Yeah.
And he walks away, and I'm like, all right, Grady, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
I was actually gonna hurt the guy. Like, dude, he didn't see the two
don't pick
most
a fight with
painted
Grady.
bikes there.
I don't fight people out of my area code, dude. I just don't know what people are capable of in different places.
I don't really care if people get like I have all respect for everyone in the world. I have all respect for everyone in the world. Like you see two people like I'm not a photographer, y'all are. But someone's taking a picture, parking a bike, taking a thing, and you blindly walk with the bike like you're walk over top of it. Like you don't see the bike there, and someone trying to like take a picture. Like it's not like you didn't see the flashy bikes.
Yeah,
that kid did not like. He was blatantly just.
Yeah, he's a pussy.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that I wanted to punch you in the mouth. Like he's seen you taking a picture of the bike.
Hey, bitch, get out of the fucking way.
Yeah, this wasn't my bike. Like this was y'all's bike. Like, I'm just saying. Like
you can cuss on podcasts.
It's fine. I'm fine with cussing.
We don't have.
I'm just laughing because there's some poor family over there sleeping it off from having a great day at the beach, and we're over here talking trash about it.
Like a little
Go back to Canada.
Yeah, go back somewhere else.
That kid probably almost drowned in the ocean and was.
I don't even give a shit.
You guys were yelling at him about his bike.
No, but the dude walked up. He had like 20 feet on either side of the bike. Like it wasn't like he had to walk between the bikes. He walked up to Jason's bike and about ran over his bike and like, hey dude, do you see the bike in front of you? Like, he's like,
Maybe you should have painted a louder paint job, Jace.
Like, I don't know how much you can get. Like
More purple.
My bike's not more loud. My bike, your bike's louder than mine.
Dude, you guys both. You just said my bike's not more louder.
Yeah,
I'm fine with saying
that's
like,
proper
you're
whiskey
picking
talk.
up you're picking up some Grady whiskey talk.
Yeah.
But
I'm
back to
there.
paint jobs, I will appreciate painters.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's why I appreciate painters.
You need a good deal, right?
No.
He just told you no. Oh,
Here's why I appreciate painters.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much money you spend on a bike, because blindly paint my bike black.
Yeah.
No one will know how much money I get on my bike. This is what I say about painters. You could take a simple build and do as much as I done to my bike. Like there's thousands and thousands of dollars on my bike that no one sees. From motor work, from Ghetto Choppers doing a custom boat motor, from the suspension to custom components that's never been built for a bike before.
Yeah.
Andy from Flying Iron touched my bike with the whatever y'all do.
Yeah.
You and y'all
He
and
blessed
my
it.
bike now changes a form. Yeah, but your painters change the form of the a canvas that no matter what you do, my bike, I could have not done nothing on my bike.
Well, so that's kind of
amazing.
another really deep rabbit hole of a topic that I have when it comes to the painter's role in the motorcycle society, because there's a handful of us painters that are strictly motorcycle people. Like, I don't do bumpers on cars, and I'm not talking shit about people that do. I just don't. Like,
it was like you were talking about earlier. Find your niche,
Yeah.
get good at it, and then you be a master.
and so a lot of painters would probably gravitate more towards the thing that gave them the most success feeling. They gave them the most notoriety in their work. You know?
Yeah.
Are we doing? Is this a shot?
This is really good. This is a gift from somebody who had to ship something over. I let him use our warehouse, and he
They
gave me
die?
some Japanese pure malt whiskey. It's really good.
Cheers, dudes.
Cheers, brothers.
Cheers. Cheers.
You're not welcome.
I have to drink it.
Cheers.
And I'm the one that's not welcome. Todd.
You put some ice on that shit. I'm not good at that shot thing.
Well, it's actually a sipping whiskey. You weren't even supposed to shoot it, but
Oh,
dude, this is.
y'all are sipping it?
No, I shot it. We were taking a shot.
Dude, I
but I'm
barely
just saying
even put any in my mouth, and it's fucking.
I'm sitting over here
burning.
trying to put a damn water cap on a whiskey bottle, so I ain't doing much better.
Wow. We should videotape our podcast more often.
Videotape. Well, that's where the studio's at, man.
I know. I gotta go visit it.
Dude,
We need to ride out
we've
there.
had some shit shows in there. You know, we had a sit down Steve in there once, and
No.
Kenny?
we flew a drone in the studio.
Oh shit! Did you crash it?
No, we didn't crash it, but he also pissed in a cup in the corner on video multiple times, and a lot of people got pissed about that. So that was he kind of hurt his listenership with us.
So, is Steve still welcome on the Fast Life podcast?
He is a friend of mine, and I love that dude to death. But I do fuck with him because The thing that sucks is like I'm a natural shit talker. Like that's how I show my love for friends. Like, hey man, like you're gay. You know what I mean? Like say something back. It's
yeah,
like
I brought him home for dinner and I introduced him to my wife. He's like, "Hi, fuck you."
in my own terms, it was
no. Actually, that was awesome, man. Appreciate you coming over. Had a good time. But anyway, so
it was good.
So
man.
back to.
But no,
I want to hear this because Steve is now on our team. He's
good.
riding for us.
He's a good dude.
Killer dude.
He's as I've got to know Steve, like my first impression of Steve, I met him because we did the hood ride, the Fast Life hood ride, and Lexin brought him into Dallas to do the ride, and he shows up to the shop, and there's one thing I'm not forgiving him for, and I'll get to that, but that's in the story. So he comes in with entourage, which we're doing a podcast, like, and if there's too much shit going in the background, it becomes very hard for the microphones.
Shut up, Kevin.
Yeah, that wasn't a big deal. His entourage was able to stay away, but like it was just a wild. Like stunt riders are just fucking wild. Let's just be real. They're fucking wild. Everything they do. Yeah, but until they're in your house. Until they're in like a place where you spend all your time and they're fucking like doing wild shit, and you're like,
have you seen the videos coming from Daytona?
I haven't.
I love my boys, and I actually wanted to be out there. We couldn't make it. Unfortunately, my whole family got sick about a month ago. We got COVID. We're doing good now, but because I missed so much work, there's just no way I could get out there after that. And I wanted to go out, but the funny thing is, and I thank you guys for offering to let me stay with you guys in the houses that you procured. It looks badass. Looks like a fantastic time, but at 37 years old, burnouts in between the houses, 3 a.m, like it is a shit show over there, and they're having the time of their lives.
Yeah. The thing that sucks is like I've talked so much shit because like leading up to this, it became a funny thing where everybody's like, people were just messaging me, "Hey Jace, when are you going to Daytona? What route are you going?" Because everybody knew I was not going to Daytona. I was coming here, and so that became a funny thing. Not funny to me, but everybody else thought it was funny, just to keep tagging me in this shit. And then there's this big house that is literally all my best friends are staying in one big ass house together, partying. And every night I'm getting videos, live feeds, fucking like just everything you can think of. Like, where are you at, Jace? Like, what's up, man? I thought fucking Daytona sucked. I'm having a ball. And it's like, I had a bad time at Daytona. I didn't mean that you would. I just didn't want to go back. But now it's like all your friends are there, so I'm like, fuck, I want to be there.
Yeah,
right
it makes
now.
you want to be there. It looks like a fun time.
They're all coming home right now, and then I'm here, and my content's about to fucking fuck with them for the next week and a half now coming out. So
So real quick, Jace, you're planning on airing this once you can get some Wi-Fi, do all that. No rush, but about 2 weeks out, you said. So we're recording this about 2 weeks prior. Is that right?
Today's Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So it's Thursday. If I get a hotel where you have like really good Wi-Fi where it's not going to take 4 hours to upload a podcast, then I'll upload it. But if not, then as soon as I get home, which will be the 24th, this will be the first podcast that gets released. And then the thing that sucks is like I have 20 people lined up for this. 20 podcasts. I don't think they're all going to go through. I'm counting that some are going to fucking be, something's going to happen, right? But I'm only releasing like 5 or 6 a month. That's like, yeah. I mean, I can't.
Seems like a lot. Yeah.
It is a good amount, but it's like that fills up for the next 3.5 months. So it's like one of those things where it's like I got to figure out how to do this, because let's say that we're doing this podcast right now, but you're releasing so-and-so on, March 28th, right? But I just recorded it then. It's like I almost need to release that one next to help you guys out with the release of something versus keeping you on hold until,
right. That's cool that you're aware of that stuff and you work with people on that. But what I was getting at, where does your ride from here take you? Tell the. So
from here, I'm meeting up with these guys. I've never met them, but they've been listeners of the podcast, and they have this thing called Dynatrash. You ever heard of it?
I can't say that I have, but I may have seen it. There's a Dyna fill in the blank, a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Offense.
But Dynatrash seems to be like one of the OGs of the whole Dyna, whatever you want to call, right? And a couple of my close friends back home are a part of this thing. I don't know what this thing is, but I've heard stories, and it's interesting to me, right? Because they used to, apparently these guys used to, I love this, they would infiltrate group chats or chat rooms on Facebook, no matter what it is, like fucking Jeep people. And like one dude would come in and be like, get everybody to like him, and then they'd make him a moderator or some shit, and then he'd like bring all his buddies in that are like gonna just sit there and talk shit and turn this thing into mayhem. And then they would just end up owning the page, like, and then they, you know what I mean? Like, it was like this weird hostile takeover they would do on. It's interesting to me.
Sounds like the exact reason you don't like Facebook pages. Now I know why.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, the dude's been a huge supporter. He's out of Temecula. He's on a ride down. We're gonna go do a podcast with Hot Dog, the painter.
Oh, Reb.
That's awesome.
I wanted to do one with Andy. I didn't know if I could commit to one yet. You know what I mean? Because of whatever is going to take place. And I haven't reached out to him, but in my head, I'm like, we'll work it out if it happens. And then, you know, from there, I'll be there Saturday, and then I got to go to the wife's coming into town, into LA. I'm going to meet up with her. But I got 3 days of LA podcasts, and then NorCal, 3 days of NorCal podcasts, and then Phoenix, 2 days of Phoenix podcasts, and then home. So it's like 3 podcasts a day, and not like 3 podcasts like we're set up. All right, next.
Right, yeah.
All right, hey man, great. I want to hang out and drink beer with you and party all night, but dude, I gotta be on the other side of town in like 20 minutes, man. I gotta wrap this up and put this up. Like, I don't like doing podcasts that way, but this whole trip is about trying to get more of the bigger names in our industry to know who the fuck we are. And hopefully, you know, we have a great listenership, and hopefully that listenership might, if they resonate with the brands that we bring on, they'll see the reach that we have, and hopefully they'll invest in just coming to Dallas and using the video studio podcast where you can bring your products and talk about them and show the world and blah blah blah. There's a much more. There's the audio. You get the audio out of that plus the video. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely.
But
and that's a huge service you're bringing to the industry. And I've commented, you know, on our, we have people that run our Instagram, but when I'm on there, when I see your stuff, I comment because I genuinely mean what I say. I want to say, hey man, thank you for what you're doing. You know, we did a post for your birthday just saying thank you for what you've done in the industry.
I appreciate that.
But we mean it. And the reason I ask what you're doing is because I don't think a lot of people, you know, they may hear you talk shit or joke about this, but you put a lot of work into this. And it's not all fun and games. And
the problem
riding
is it's
your
so
bike
easy to talk shit.
Fun,
like,
you know,
it's like, you know, I mean, I could tell you, like, I'm having hell with certain shops I'm trying to bring on the podcast where I want to talk shit right now and be like, these motherfuckers are, like, I'm riding across country. Like, I just rode through fucking 2 feet of snow and shit.
Legitimately. And it's really rare. In Julian, some guy said, hey, you got to go to Julian. So Jace goes to Julian for the world famous Julian apple pie.
Yeah,
can't pull over because there's 2 feet of snow. Like, I've never seen that much snow in Julian. I've lived here my whole life.
So, like, you know, when you're doing these podcasts, it's like, this is the hard part, right? Especially on a trip like this where I'm just cramming in episodes and trying to get people on and share their stories, share their brands, share whatever, right? Well, not every shop can just have this kind of time. What we're doing right now, like, you might not be able to do this Monday morning, you know, while the phones are ringing. Yeah. And people are walking in the store, and you know, like you guys don't do as much storefront shit as like a lot of other brands do. So, you know, when I'm like, hey man, I'm coming to town, I'll be here at 9 a.m. Like, I need you to work with me, man. Like, I need you to set this up so that you can do this podcast at 9 a.m. I can't sit around till 7 p.m. when you're done with the day, because I have 2 other podcasts to do, and those podcasts are on different parts of town. And once I pass this part of town, I'm not here anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it becomes this weird thing where it's like a lot of the older brands, they don't listen to podcasts, right? They don't know who the fuck, it feels weird saying, they don't know who the fuck the podcast is, what we're doing, what we're trying to provide. It's a service. Like, Lucky Dave's has a listener. They have a following. I have a following. We do a podcast. Our followings meet. They fuck. And then
And they make beautiful babies.
They make beautiful babies.
And then imagine when those babies fuck. It's gonna like, I mean, not when they're not right now, you know, but like when they're like our age, like way down the line, you know.
Holy
exactly.
shit. That's
the way it is. Like it's that's how this works. It's about growing, and then you share the
Jay
babies.
stepped off a cliff. I had to help him.
This dude's gonna. Someone check his
Patrick
pulse.
just puked in the office.
Well, I would like it for it. To me, is what I love about podcasts.
Did you say I like a fart?
Hold on,
You like the fart?
Grady's gonna bring it all in for us. Hold on.
I like podcasts based off. I like garage talk.
Okay.
Podcasts to me are garage talk. Like we say things and then garage talk. And then we say and we bullshitted. We got drunk tonight. We do things. It's garage talk.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear. I love listening to your podcast based off. It's a different person's garage talk. Like me and my brother get together, or me and you get together many times outside the microphones in front of our face, and we said things. I love hearing another person's version of garage talk, like or whatever you want to call it.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And I like listening to someone else's perspective. I have a different vision of motorcycles. I have a different vision of how people should ride them. Mm-hmm. I have a different vision of garage.
You sound
talk.
like a Democrat.
Yeah, call it what the fuck you want to. I don't really give a flying shit. I ride a Harley Davidson. I ride a KTM.
Tell me how to ride my bike, bro.
And I don't
Should
know
I
how to
wear a
ride a
mask?
bike. And I don't. And I tell everyone this. But I love to listen to people's things. And your thing, it meets my eyes because you hear, like, this is garage talk from a different person. Like, you hear, like, a garage talk from West Coast. You hear a garage talk from East Coast.
Yeah.
Garage talk from someone from Texas, somewhere.
But we all grew up with that. You're associated with something, right? So everybody, when you're saying garage talk, you know, I mean, my dad wasn't into bikes or anything like that, but I remember we had a garage and it was full of tools, and I spent as much time out there as I could, and I'd get in so much trouble and get my butt whooped because I'd break something or wouldn't put it back right. But that hits a chord, I think, with everyone. You say garage talk.
Well, think about it like this: like when the industry comes together, like, and one thing I noticed, and one of the things that helped me like want to do this podcast originally 3 years ago, was when I would go to a bike show or a bike trade show, what would happen is all of us different shops would click up like goddamn like bees to a fucking what do you call like a hive?
Hive, yeah.
You know, because we all wanted to just like be around people and talk about things and kind of get an understanding from each other of like the experiences that each one of us go through, and honestly get perspectives from each other that help us understand what we might be going through, because you might be 10 steps ahead of me in you know what I'm going to go through. So what I've noticed is that like a lot of different parts of the country, some older generations of dudes, some younger guys, people just haven't figured out when you communicate and you talk, it helps you like chisel out your ideas and your vision and your everything that you are trying to do. Like, it helps you understand it better, and it helps the industry grow is what it does. It helps us like skip a bunch of fucking questions, because maybe Dave or maybe you, Grady, have already answered a couple questions that I'm starting to fucking put my feet into, and that helps me grow. That saves 2 or 3 months out of my life of trying to figure this shit out, right? And that's where the podcast comes in handy for the industry. Where it comes in handy, in my opinion, for the listener is more of an understanding is that, like, look, we're all like normal dudes just like you. It's just that this is what we chose to do for a living. Now, it is great to work on bikes, but there's a trade-off when you work on something that you love. You have to find that balance between loving it and not hating it.
Killing it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know the feeling very well.
It's a lot of seesawing, man. It's a lot of fucking balancing.
Before I got my Road Glide, I'd like, I'll say it, I had fallen out of love with riding. Like, I wasn't stoked to get on my bike anymore. I rode, I'd get on my bike, I'd, you know, ride down to the store, get stuff, whatever, but I wasn't trying to get on my bike and see how far I could get away from home before it got dark, and I'd turn around, you know, get home, put the kids to bed. That Road Glide changed it for me big time. And it was just because it was finally a bike that rode really well, but also I had a I had a broken back that I wasn't even aware of until just a few months ago when it actually happened. And so I'm dealing with this huge injury in my body. I don't even know what's going on. And that bike, the way that it's set up, it allowed me to get on the road and to be as comfortable as I could during that time. And I still put on miles and was able to ride with guys that I was riding with during the time and have a lot of good experiences that because of just the ergonomics of that bike, how low the motor is in the frame, the way that it handles, but it also being a bigger bike to where it would absorb the bumps more and so able to put more miles on and with the suspension and just the setup overall, it's like I think we all have those moments where we find something that sparks our interest again.
Yeah.
And for these guys right now, it's adventure bikes. Ben's got the 1290, Grady's got the 890. I'm actually wanting to get it. I'm actually wanting to. He couldn't handle a 1290. I'll put it out there. I don't want a 1290 on the dirt either. You can call me whatever you want.
Dude, I said on his
power.
890. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, they're pretty.
I'm glad
tough.
I didn't buy one because I'd pussy
When
out so
Dave
quick.
get done his comment, I have a comment about our adventure bikes.
So in any case, there's new things that make you excited. I think for me right now, like I want to get a one of those new Yamaha Tenerace, or just badass bikes. Is something I feel like I can go have some fun with these guys and get out there and just spark that stoke.
At the end of the day, like I have this feeling that like the one thing that brings men or women, I can't speak for women because I'm not one, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
Well, what brings men back into bikes, well, maybe one thing was what got you into it, but you can lose interest very quickly because, when you first get a bike, you go rip it around. It's like the best thing in the world. But that new wears off quicker than fucking new pussy sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So what happens
I've been
is...
mine for 22 years. It's new every day.
So you got that rejuvenating one.
Yes, it rejuvenates.
Oh,
She's
man.
badass.
Rejuvenates. So,
hey, if you've ever seen Grady and his wife together, they're that couple.
Dude.
You can do that. You can talk about that. You guys
I
are
have no problem with it. I've been with my wife since I was 16.
No, you guys are meant to be. You're awesome.
She's rejuvenated. She's rejuvenated 3, 4, 5 times.
I'm digging you out of the hole, but Jay's talk.
all right. So,
She ain't digging me out of the hole. She's amazing.
so when you, when
You go ahead.
when you kind of lose interest in this shit, the only thing that I honestly believe that brings you back into bikes is finding the right people to do the biking with. The people, always the people. So, we talked about big wheel baggers earlier. The people made it not fun. And then when I got into FXRs, the people made me feel like this is fucking dope.
Right, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the bike is always this like personalityless thing, this material possession on the ground over there that I'm identifying with. But realistically, like I'm more identifying with all these people I just met because of that bike.
That's
the
that camaraderie.
scene behind it.
Well, hey, how about this word? And this will trigger different things inside everybody. Brotherhood, right? And in our industry, brotherhood, or that word brother.
Yeah.
And, it.
Hell yeah.
If you've been around the club scene, then it has a totally different connotation to it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, if you haven't, then maybe you have a bit of a different picture. But I think everybody, when they hear that word, can identify with wanting to either call somebody that or be called that by somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm not, sure, maybe you're the tough guy that's like, I don't need anybody. Right on, have fun with that, bud.
Yeah.
The point is, we weren't created to go through life alone.
They say that on Facebook.
Yeah.
In a chat room, they're like, "Hey man, looking for people to ride, but I don't need anybody because I'm a fucking biker.
Hey, I'm gonna go right here if anybody wants to join. Not
I'll
that I
bang
want
bar
you
to bar."
Yeah, if you can keep up with me, you can buy me a beer. You know what I mean? Like, there's this attitude that I feel like people have, and what you're talking about is a totally different thing. It's coming together, building bikes that
Sometimes
inspire
when you see other dudes that have enthusiasm about the bike that maybe you've lost enthusiasm about, it reignites your enthusiasm.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's inspiring you and inspiring others, because you get a bike around somebody else and you've been riding, and all of a sudden you get in a new town, or even around your buddies or wherever, and they start asking you about, how do you like this? How do you like that? You start remembering like when you put that on, and I had this. Well, at first I had this, but I went back to this, and
it becomes like I think we all have to have like a perspective correct situation that happens, because we all get lost in the perspective of we get used to it, we get annoyed with it, or we get bored with it, or I think those are all the same things, different adjectives basically. But when you get around people that are like new to it, then you're like, man, like I remember being that guy, like inside excited, asking what fairing that was and shit like that. So
see, but how is that? I'm just gonna be real for a second, right? When you're on the forums, those guys are annoying as shit, right?
Yeah, because it's not a real human interaction.
Right.
When you're at a bike night, or you look at, I think most men gravitate to other men who make an effort in life. And I think that's why like military dudes always have had a great connection, because they made an effort to do things together, or not together, but they made an effort that's...
We made an effort to do things together.
Yeah. It's a much different
it's a bonding
commitment. So when you...
Brothers.
Yeah, when you show up to a bike night or a bike event or a camp out or something, it's an effort to do it, because there's 40 other dudes on that chat room or that group that like had an excuse,
right?
And then that same night while we're out, same night we're out doing this, some fucking nerds out there doing a cigar club thing. It's like, bro,
what's the thing? Like we're doing a thing tonight. Not to change the subject off Lucky Days. Me and my brother are doing a thing based off call it a bonding. Call it something else. It's called
a docking.
A docking.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. I don't really give a shit what you want to call it. Off of 8
when foreskins collide.
Foreskins collide. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. You get together.
Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback. Yeah, we're not doing that. But
yet.
Anyway. I don't have any clue. Yeah, I have to do it. I haven't no clue, but I just not do it. My point being is, like,
it
bikers
goes
get together.
in the hole, dude.
Hold the hole. Let's get it together. Let's have a bonding. Like, I will cuddle next to you.
Okay, yeah. I got a couch in the hotel room, man.
I'm gonna need you to keep me warm in Montana, man.
Yeah, we do.
There's a couch right behind me.
Okay with that?
Yeah, I lost my subject right now.
I know.
It happens with whiskey, man.
Not to change the subject off Lucky Dave's, if I could. but what was I saying?
But my point being was, like, I think bikes get back to our pioneer days of travel, of being a gypsies, of being a man of want to wander.
Yeah. That wanderlust, yeah.
We wander the world to
want
to see something new and be a part of something that doesn't exist, that we want to exist.
To see something new and create something new.
And I love it.
Yeah.
And we're doing it. And I'm now retired, and I go back in this, and now I'm now retired, and I retired from Lucky Days, and I'm doing this. We were going to do a trip this year based off wandering and touring. And the fact that they're laughing, now I don't even know what's going on.
I got the headphones on, so I hear every little fucking thing. It's like
that's why you're over there dying.
Is my Cajun accent fucks you up right now?
I'm drunk too, motherfucker.
Bottle on the Japanese.
No one at home is laughing right now, and this is the funniest shit ever, dude.
They're gonna be laughing in 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and we're like, "What are you laughing at?" And like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Point, the descriptionization
what
is...
you're saying is 100%, man. Like I
real
agree.
word, Grady made up, no alcohol involved. Descriptionization. And we use that here in the shop regularly now. Go ahead and write a descriptionization for the customers before we post that product.
The bike thing, man. Like I said, it's awesome, man. Like you got to find people, man. But one thing I talk about with my friends group is that, like, once you find solid dudes that you think are really good guys, you have to be available. You have to put in effort, right? And that's one thing that I've noticed with a lot of, there's a lot of takers in the world. People that just gonna, I'm available when it's convenient for me, when it's something I'm interested in. But when you start making friends, you don't think about the fact that, like, those friends count on you to be there at that bike night. See, that's my Grady talk.
Dude, what you're saying is huge. I'll break it down like this.
Whiskey.
I seen
whiskey.
A lot of guys go throughout life and feel like they have to do everything on their own. Right?
Yeah.
They feel like they have to mount up to some unattainable bar, right?
Yeah.
I feel like all of us struggle with that in some sense, whether we admit it or not. If you say you don't, you're lying to yourself. Again, I can't speak for women, but how men were created, that's just how it is. Like, we feel like we have this unattainable bar because we have to do it on our own, and then we find out that we're not doing so well at some point in our life. And you find those guys that are good friends. Brady's been one of those. Nice mustache, bud. He's twisting his mustache. Grady's been one of those at times for me, and there's been a lot of guys in my life that have been that. But the point is, what you're saying, Jace, is huge. If you want to create something and you want to have something that's actually going to last, being present is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And being consistent is the biggest thing. And you know, if you're out there and you're like, hey, I want to start a club, whether it's a motorcycle club or a riding club or a social club or a, hey, you have a Harley too, or I don't care, you got a Honda and
Do
I
we
just
just
want to
become
ride.
club members?
Yeah, exactly. I don't really care what you're trying to start. The point is, be consistent with it and put effort into it. You know, don't just like be half-ass about it. Go out there, put yourself out there, put your talents into it, whatever you have to offer, because you'll find out there's a lot of other people that if you can partner with, your talents become so much more effective when you're working with others to accomplish a bigger goal.
Well,
I can't paint for shit. I'm standing next to an amazing painter.
Well, you know, in some societies, I am.
Did you just flex your shoulders?
Yeah, a little
He
bit.
did. He got
He
it.
did.
Put
He
it
just
back.
like
Some societies.
That's the fourth compliment I've ever given him. So
Yeah.
it made him
Oh
feel
my
really
God, you just flexed.
The thing that I've noticed about a lot of people is that they use the social interactions they get with, like, whether it's bikes or whatever you're into, to their convenience. And that's the one thing that I think that most real friends group, like, some people are lucky and their closest friends are people they grew up with, or maybe they're lucky to have a brother that they fucking can talk to and not want to fucking hit in the mouth. You know what I mean?
A brother
Yeah.
that can understand them.
Yeah. Something
I don't
like
know
that.
about the.
You might have to
punch
start
them out.
translating.
Yeah.
Y'all can daggone punch me in the mouth. I'm fine with the drunkenness.
He wouldn't feel it with the mustache.
That's all you got, bitch. But
Motherfuckers.
the thing is, like, what I've definitely noticed with the bike nights and things like that is a lot of people want to get into it, and then, like, they don't have, they're just not available. They, you know, like, they do things. When people do things, think about it like this: how many friends do we have because it was convenient, right? How many relationships did we have because it was convenient? How many everything in our life did we do out of convenience? And sometimes that works well, but think about how much better some things could be if you didn't have to. If you tried a little harder, if you went out of your way, you inconvenience yourself to know people, to be available, to experience new shit. Like, you could become a better, more enthused, more cultured person because you put yourself in different situations that weren't necessarily convenient to your lifestyle, right? That's how I discovered motorcycle riding and traveling, because that was not part of the scene I was in. I stepped out and looked for something that was different and not convenient to my circle, and that changed my life, right? And it's happened many other times because of that situation. I've used it for photography, for growing my paint career, for doing this podcast. It's when you step out of the comforts of all these normal things you do in your life is when you find the paths to go different directions in life. You know what I mean?
That's a great,
Yeah, absolutely.
great, amazing statement. Because I do that every day, and I mean, me and my brother Ben talk about this all the time about bikers and people and the Harley industry, and now we're in the venture bike industry, and we do this thing like meeting and doing what you just said is kind of like, I think, the future. Like seeing a guy that just got into it, or the guy that's been into it for a while, and being a part of it.
Yeah.
Just flowing with it. Being you got podcasts, and you met from Dave, from being a motorcycle industry guy, to a guy that you probably is not the Dave, is not the motorcycle industry guy, and doing it. And you're like, that
meeting
is
all kinds
amazing.
of people traveling.
Yeah, there's so many levels, like
different types.
In
of
one
people.
end, like I've had serious conversations where, like, industry guys will be like, man, like, what's it like when you're, you know, like, do you think there's a level of, like, someone has to be in your podcast, like, you know, like, what if, so I'm gonna have, you know, Corey and Zach Ness on the podcast. Those are pretty big people in my opinion. I'm nervous. I ain't gonna be lying.
And the grandsons,
right? But at the same time, like, would they not want to be on this podcast if I had like my homeboy Dragon on here? We were talking about doing crazy.
Do it with him. I think.
What up, Dragon?
Yeah,
What's
so
up,
it's
Dragon?
like it's one of those things where like, okay, well, does having normal dudes that are just bikers that are ripping and fun and great people, having these normal guys on here, does that deter the bigger names? Like, oh, well, who the fuck are these people he's out on the podcast?
Well, here's a bigger question.
Yeah.
If it does, do you care?
I don't, because here's the deal. Like, the one thing that I've done with this podcast, and I didn't create it, this is a Joe Rogan mantra, is find...
He's in Texas with you now.
Yeah. He's fucking up Texas with all these goddamn you motherfuckers coming down there.
Oh,
yeah.
you. Like you. What are you referring you?
I wonder what
Like,
Joe's
I'm
doing.
part of that?
Maybe Joe will be on our next podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, I'll let you ride a bike if you want to
Joe's
join
part
us
of
for the
this,
next
I'll
podcast.
gladly have them all.
So the thing is that, like,
Grady will wrestle you.
the thing is, like, when you can have my audience loves to hear from guys like you guys. They love to hear about these industry things. And this podcast is, I mean, we did exactly what I wanted to do. We get a little liquor in us and we fucking talk some shit and laugh about dick jokes, basically. You know what I mean?
That was
It's
his
a good
plan
time.
the entire time. You wanted to get us to talk about
Patrick's
dicks.
dick.
Yeah.
My dick is a joke, first off.
Oh my God.
What's that song called? My Dick.
I'm just thinking, see it.
Oh my god.
Hey, but you want to see something funny?
No.
You want to see something funny?
They can't
After
see.
a dick joke? No, I
No.
don't.
Yeah, that's like saying, "Here, smell this." You're like, "No,
Yeah.
thanks."
I was gonna see Patrick's face. But...
This is beauty.
Beauty. You have to work at that.
No, but I just like the fact that people ride bikes.
Yeah, well, more people
'Cause if they
people
didn't-
are finding that. I mean,
what kind of world would this be?
everybody's influenced by what is around them. So when you think about all the bikers in the world, like not
He's laughing now that I said that. I was trying to get back to reality and back to a podcast. Reality.
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 Folks at home, we're gonna get back to reality now.
I don't know.
All right.
We should probably wrap this up.
You should probably wrap it
We're
up.
3 hours in, and I don't know if you can make a complete sentence.
You can make it in. Hey, you want to see a complete sentence?
What would you just say?
Follow me the next 2 months. We'll travel Montana.
Yeah.
You get to see some pictures.
Pictures
It's
of beer.
Amazing.
While
On the
you're,
back
dude,
of
We're gonna make it.
I just want you to get this fucked up at our camp out, bro.
I will get this fucked up.
That will be awesome. Cause they'll be like, that's where I know you from.
That's fine.
No one's gonna recognize him until he starts
Like,
drinking.
dude, that dude, he sounds familiar, man. Well, I don't know where. You're the one that's fucked up on Lucky Days podcast.
Take another shot here. Yeah, that's him. That's
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yep, that's it. That's gonna happen.
You know
So
the
maybe we'll be out there,
thing
guys. If you want to
That's
go to
all
the camp
this when
out.
I'm sober.
You're the funniest, man. I love you, dude.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
You're out?
No, I'm not now. I'm just like,
No, I mean, you're just out. Like, you ran out of.
He's out of whiskey. He's more.
Hey,
I need more whiskey.
You think we're gonna wrap this up, Jace? Because
We do need to wrap
all right,
it up.
So hey, one thing I got to just say before all of that, because that kind of hits a chord with me. So if you sat here and listened to this for 2 hours, 57 minutes, and 47 seconds,
you're amazing.
thank you. And also, let's wrap up with this. What we were just talking about the camaraderie, the brotherhood, if you're women riding, the sisterhood, whatever that is, that whole connection thing. I mean, parts are cool, motorcycles are cool.
The clam hood.
The clam hood, yeah, that's real. The sisterhood of clams. We love you. I can't believe I just said that. I'm sorry to my female riders. I can't believe I just said that. Did you
That's
really
a-
just?
no women
Did
listen
you
to
literally
this.
just fed me whiskey just so I would say that? If you knew me, I didn't even realize you fully just let me off a cliff.
No women listen to this. It's all good.
Babe, I'm sorry. My
The only
wife's
women
gonna listen to this.
The
shit.
only women that listen to this are like girlfriends and like, like.
All right.
I don't have
so,
to-
so if you're still listening to this and you're apparently not offended by that, the point is, We all been through a lot of shit. We all do this because we want to be connected in bigger ways. And I know you're all drunk, but I'm not that drunk. I'm serious about this. Invest in each other is nothing more important than you can do than to invest in each other right now. Be encouraging to one another. If you're not encouraged yourself, the best thing you can do is get out there and go encourage someone else. Like Jace was just saying, you wouldn't be here if you hadn't stepped outside your comfort zone. If you hadn't said, you know what, I don't feel comfortable doing that, but I'm going to do it anyway. So if you're sitting at home listening and hearing all these stories and we're laughing and this is something you want to do or you want to be a part of, you're like, man, if I could be Jace, if I could be Lucky Dave or Grady or Ben or Kevin who rides on P. Diddy's handlebars. The point is, we really aren't anything special, guys.
Yeah.
Like, we are just a bunch of human beings going through life, figuring it out, and we've happened to connect with each other. We're having a good time doing it. So I hope that you guys can connect with people out there and encourage one another in the same way that we've been encouraged tonight, just having a good time, because that's what it's all about. You know, don't take yourselves too seriously. I just want to end with that because there's a lot of serious shit going on. No matter where you stand politically, no matter where you stand with the pandemic, no matter where you stand with masked or not masked, none of that matters. What matters right now is that we encourage one another. You accept people where they're at, and that's just not something we see in the Harley industry a lot. So I just wanted to end with that.
Ride KTMs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you know, go orange.
Go orange. No, I'm serious now. I'm traveling the world.
Yeah, traveling the world, you know. This is the B-roll, right? The credits are rolling?
Yeah, no, he's good.
I dropped the mic.
I think I'm going to put music on right now, so this is where the music starts to fade in.
That's serious, right?
And then we're like, all right, thank you guys for joining the podcast. And
that's officially the sound of a dick
so I can
hitting
get
the
more
table.
drunk.
Yeah.
I want to get more
Let's
drunk.
go. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Lucky Daves on Instagram, luckydaves.what?
LuckyDaves.com.
There you go. Get you
We got a
some
bunch of
seats.
apparel coming in the next couple weeks. Maybe by the time this is dropped, everything should be back in stock. Working on getting seats in stock for you guys. Thank you for your patience. Hard parts, bars are pretty much in stock. Risers are in stock. We don't plan on running out. Have a good one.
Order a seat and beat your meat, brother. Let's go.
Beat your mate. Beat your mate.
Like I said, we were having fun on this podcast. I want to thank Lucky Dave, and Grady and Ben for helping out on this podcast. It was a great time. I really enjoyed my stay down in the Oceanside area. And yeah, I really had a good time down there. You guys know we got some great shit coming up. The Fast Life Camp Out, April 22nd through the 25th. It's going down. All you got to do is show up. You know, there's people meeting up from all over the country to ride to this. And a part of this event is the ride. You know, the moment you leave your driveway, you're at the event. This is what it's about. It's about getting together, riding across country with people you know or people you're going to meet on the ride. And getting to this campground, as soon as you pull up, pop open a beer, fucking tear the label off the whiskey, and have a good time. And then wake up the next day and go smash miles with people that you've met. It's like a dating app for dudes, I guess, is really what it feels like. But anyway, we're going to have a good time. We got some wild people showing up this year. We got Sit Down Steve, a lot more stunt riders coming out to this thing, so you know it's going to be crazy. And looking forward to it. So check it out. Also, you guys can check out our Patreon where we do unreleased content. We're working on some new content for this month and next month, which will be available for free on there. Well, not for free. You got to donate $1 at least. Come on, man. $1 a month at $12 a year. It's like less than what you pay a month in Netflix. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for everything you do for us and checking out our sponsors and supporting us on these rides. So we'll see you back really, really quick with another podcast.